Now, before we get started with this one, and yeah, I'm starting my slow walk way back here. Yeah, I'm starting way back here. This is going to be your ultimate guide for all players, new, returning, veterans, everything in between. I'm going to show everything, start to finish. I'm breaking down everything in the game. That way, if you're a Division IQ 1 and you just now picked up the game, or you're a Division IQ, it's over 9,000. You're probably going to learn something in this video. All right? Because we have had changes year after year, and that's why I have to do these guide videos at least every year, just to keep everyone up to speed on what's going on. Now, last year when I did this guide, a big thing was modifiers. We never had modifiers before. And in this guide, I have to introduce you to prototype gear and all of the new things that revolve around that. So we do have a lot to get into. This game is very, very complex, and they did that for a reason. It keeps you playing. But once you understand everything, it becomes very easy. So here, let me catch you up to speed. What's going on, YouTube? Kamikazevondoom here with another Division 2 video. So sit back, relax, grab that popcorn. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And finally, shout out where you're from. It's cool to see where everyone is from. Speaking of which, like I typically do, let's shout out the 3 most recent in my comments. All right, shout out from Staten Island, New York. I see you. I see you. Shout out to, hey man, I'm from Dundee, Kentucky. All right. Shout out to Dundee, Kentucky. And finally, last but not least, a shout out to Nashville, Tennessee. All right, I see you, Nashville. Don't forget to shout out where you're from whenever you leave comments down below. Now, this is going to be your ultimate guide, new, returning, veteran. It doesn't matter. I'm breaking down everything. Okay? So first up, let's just start about your character. Okay? Let's just start there, because I'm getting questions about everything in the game, and I know that the typical answer would be, yeah, I made a video on that, blah, blah, blah. I just want to compile it all. That way everyone gets on the same page. So here you are at your character screen, right? You can make a max of 4 characters. Now, you can also decide to play on normal mode or hardcore mode whenever you make a new character. Now, in hardcore mode, this is a permanent game mode where if you die, you lose your character. So it's a permadeath. Now, with that being said, a lot of people don't do the hardcore because there's not a lot of benefits or rewards to it. I understand that it's more of like a bragging rights thing nowadays, and yeah, sure, I do wear my patches and all that for hardcore, but for the average player, no one really cares about hardcore anymore because they never updated it for years and years. Now, with that being said, the only rewards you really get from hardcore, you can see my patch here. I wear this patch all the time. This is my favorite patch in the game. I've had this patch for years and years and years, and this is from doing a hardcore raid. And you can only get it from doing the hardcore Dark Hours raid. Now, with that being said, this was the last big patch that you would get from hardcore. So once you received this patch, you were basically done with hardcore mode unless you wanted to keep going with your Shade Watch levels or what have you, because there's no other incentives in doing hardcore mode. Now, other items you would get, like this YOLO hat, you would get this hat from playing hardcore mode on level 2. So just by going to the base of ops and getting to level 2, you could get this hat. And then everything else are just patches. And it has everything to do with hardcore. So it's really not that much. I think it's like 5 patches total. And that's why I'm saying no one really typically does anything with hardcore anymore. They just make 4 normal characters. Now, going back to the normal characters, why would you make 4 characters? What would be the point of making 4 characters? Well, there's actually multiple benefits from having these characters. And yes, you can level 40 boost your characters if you have that level 40 boost. There's level 40 boost available at the store. There's level 40 boost available through bundles. And there's a level 40 boost, I believe, if you play the Division Resurgence and link your Ubisoft accounts together, you could get another level 40 boost. Now, what this does is it helps you make a new character and send them straight to level 40. You can make a female character, male character, it doesn't matter. You can make 4 different characters of any type. Now, the reason you want to make these different characters is you can do the projects on every character. You can do inventory management on different characters. And you can do raids, incursions, all of that with your different characters. So what do I mean? Well, this is my second character. This is my mule, if you will. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, she is my gear set hoarder. I put all my gear set items on my second character. And you can see that the inventory here is 134 out of 150. And you can see they're all gear set items, all of it. And this is where I hold a lot of my items for all my build videos. A lot of people are like, yo, man, how do you make so many build videos? It's because I get gear, I max it out, and then I put it on my other characters to hold on to until I'm ready to use them. Now, with that being said, this is just one strategy, right? So this is my gear set character. And like I said, you can do your projects on each of the characters separately. So you can see right here, I can redo the weeklies and get my exotics. I can redo the creator collaborations and get more exotics. I can do the weekly PvP and get more rewards. All of this, and it's on every character. Now, here's another tip and trick. You see the Season Pass project? This one is also available on every character, and if you get the Season Pass, you will get this project. It is a daily project on every character, and just by completing this mission, you get 700,000 XP, and that's per character. So that's a full shade level just given to you every day on every character. So what is that? That's 4 shade levels a day, so that's 28 shade levels minimum a week. And that's just from doing one project. And you can see how this could compile and get better and better and better and better. For example, here, I do the weekly shade requisition on every character every week. This is the only project that I personally do every week on each of my characters. And it's because it gives me a free shade level and it gives me exotics. So I do that every week without hesitation. Now, one thing to note here on each of your characters is they do share a Manhunt scout. So whenever we talk about the Manhunt scouts, if it's bugged out on one character, you can go to a different character and complete the same Manhunt scout. So all of those are linked across your entire account, no matter what character you use. So there's multiple benefits of using these characters. Another one is keys. A lot of people use these for keys. For example, here, I have 4 Dark Hour keys. If I were to do a Dark Hours raid, I would get a key per boss, and then I could open up the chest at the end every 5 keys that I receive. Now with that, I can get the keys on this character, switch characters, do the raid again, get keys on that character, switch characters, do the raid again, get keys on that character, and then I can open up all of those boxes and try to help people get exotics. This is how those raid teams or incursion teams compile their keys for the end chest, and then they're able to basically hand out exotics or prototype core caches, things like that. Now, I know I might be saying, things like prototype core caches right now, and you might be asking, what is that? Well, I'll explain it. Don't worry, I got you. This is just explaining why your multiple characters can really help you out. Now, my third character is my named item character. And you can already see how I am doing my inventory and stash management because I'm able to basically delegate each of my characters to have their own purpose. So I have my main character, that way I grind and do everything on my main. I have my secondary character, and then I have this character. And you can see Here are all of the named items. And then if you go to my weapons, you'll see all of the named weapons, all of them. And that's on this character. So I have a gear set character, I have a named item character, and then my fourth character is basically like a loner. I either grind on that character whenever I'm basically bored, I guess. And you can compile your Shade Watch scavenging points. Now I'm trying to think if I want to go ahead and show you that technique as well. I mean, I guess I might as well. So what do I mean by your Shade Watch? Every time you make a new character, you can boost up to level 40. When you boost up to level 40, you get access to a watch. This is technically Keener's watch from Warlords of New York, even though now we know that Keener's not dead and we were basically given that watch. So it's like all like this weird misdirection. We're basically rogue. I mean, long story short, we're all rogue agents, and they just don't want you to admit it. Now, as far as your watch itself, you get these different benefits, right? So as you go up to watch 1000, each of these attribute boxes will max out. I explained this during all my build videos, because each of these boxes are different attributes, and if you do not have these maxed out, you can miss out on quite a bit. I mean, just for example here, you have weapon damage, and you could lose 10% if you don't have your watch maxed out. But on new characters, you can farm materials, max out your materials, and then share them across your board and stack them on your character. Because whenever you make a new character, you have an option to come over here to Anaya at the crafting station. And we'll talk about Anaya and the crafting station here in a second. But she would sell all of the shared materials, shared blueprint options. So if you make a new character, level 40 boost, you could run over here to Anaya, click share blueprint, share materials, and out of nowhere, your brand new character has all the blueprints and materials that your main character has. It shares it across your account. It makes it really easy to compile materials on your main account. Because what you can do is you can max it out on that new character and then click share materials, and it will combine it with whatever materials is on your main character. And that's how we would stack materials like that. For example, if you ever mention my resources, if you ever mentioned this before, you're right. A lot of these are over cap. So I have people time and time again will notice, hey man, how did you get that over cap? And it's because what we would do in the past is we would make new characters, we would grind our watch level, and then do the shared materials, and it would combine them. So I still have materials here that are over cap from years and years ago. Let's see if all of my normal materials are back to normal, but you can see like my Richter and Kaiser, I have 1200. What would I even do with 1200 Richter and Kaiser? Anyways, that's how you would compare your materials and stack them on each of your characters. Your characters are linked. There are multiple purposes of having all four. It is very helpful. All right. So if you learn anything, there you go. Next up, you're on your main, right? So you just made a new character. There are different ways of customizing your agent. So now let's talk about customizing your agent, because each of your agents can be changed at any time. And there are more items and more ways of customizing your agent than ever before. For the past few years, the developers have redone the apparel menu and their bundles and everything to get you to customize your character more and more. So whenever you jump back into the game and say, it's been a while, right? And you want to change your character. So you come over here to the base of ops and you will see the barber. If you go to the barber, you can change all of these things. And they did add quite a number of options inside of this barber. So you can go back through here and change whatever it is you want. You can change the face. You could then go over there and change, what do we have? The face paint. And then all of a sudden I want to be, some other sort of face paint. You can go in there and put some neck tattoos. Maybe you don't have enough neck tattoos. But just remember, whenever you make these changes, right? So let's say I change a tattoo on my leg. All right, so you click equip, but before you leave, you have to confirm changes. So you can see at the bottom it says confirm changes. And then you have to buy that change. And only then will it actually change your character. So I've had a few people tell me that they'll go to the barber and it'll never work. And I just remind them, hey man, they did add a confirm change option at the bottom of it. So whenever you do change your character, you have to confirm it, purchase it, and then you're good to go. Now, as far as the new apparel menu to change your character, they added all of this. So the menu was maybe a quarter of the size that it used to be. And look, you can scroll down. Look at that. And each of these options are also customizable. So take your backpacks, for example. You can go to any of these old backpacks and you can completely change them to whatever color scheme you want. Now, say it's the skateboard, right? So if you had the skateboard backpack, you could click change dye, and as you change the color of the backpack, you'll see that it will also change the color of the skateboard. Look at that. And then you can change it to customize whatever outfit you're using. You can do this with any of your backpacks. They added this to where you could even change the color of the cat in the backpack. You can see here, so there's the black cat and then orange cat, and then you could have the white cat, all of this. And that's how I made my backpack. A lot of people way back in the day, they would say, hey man, what's your backpack? Well, the current one I use is a hunter's backpack called the Gariel. This backpack is in the store right now, and we'll talk about it whenever we go into the bundles. But my initial backpack was this one, the Death Roll. And all I did was I put the full black gear dye on there, and you can see. So without it, it would just be an all white backpack. But then I put that full black on there, and it made it, the color scheme I wanted. Just customize it to whatever it is you want as a agent, and there you go. You have your own outfit. Now, as far as old bundles and using textiles, you can also go back to old outfits. So in this category, right, and we'll talk about the bundles in a bit, but if you go to the outfits part of the category, you can go to all of the old outfits from all the years and years and years we've been playing this game. And for a lot of these older outfits, they made it to where you can purchase at least half of the items with textiles and not premium credits. So you're going to have to look through each of these categories for that textiles yellow icon. And you can actually go through here. And if you haven't played the game for a while, they keep updating this to where you can buy more and more items with textiles and customize your agent even further. I mean, look right here. You can get the Seattle jacket. There's my jacket right there from the old Seattle outfit bundle from way back in the day. And then if you wanted to get, let's see, the mask was about a year later. So the mask was through, hold on, it's been a second, huh? It was Silent Night. There it is, right there. So the Reaper mask, there's the mask I use. And you can purchase a lot of these items with textiles. So go back through those categories and you can get them with your own textiles. Now, while I'm saying textiles, you can see at the bottom of your screen where it shows I have 180,000 textiles. How did I get those textiles? You go to your apparel menu, go to caches, and your standard apparel cache has only a set number of items. Once you receive all of those items, you will then get duplicates. If you ever get a duplicate, it will then give you textiles. And just like I'm showing you right now, I just got a hat, and it says I am now rewarded 125 textiles. And that's how you would get your textiles up, and then you could go to the store, go to outfits, and go through all of these outfits, and you can purchase all of the things with textiles. It's pretty simple. Another way is you can go to each of these categories individually and just scroll through them and see if you can find any for textiles. And that would be another way of doing it. Or there's another way. If you click on any of these individual categories, you can see at the bottom it says Discover Apparel Suggestions. So if I click left toggle, there we go, my left trigger will then show me the 2 that I don't have that I could purchase. And then I can toggle it back, and it goes back to all of these shirts and everything I already have. Pretty cool. All right. So those are all the different ways. You could then change all your weapon skins. You could do all your emotes, set those up, get your patches, and get your backpack trophies. Remember, whenever you want to favorite them, just hit, what is it on Xbox? It's X on Xbox to mark them as a favorite. And if they don't pop up as your favorite, just exit out that category and pop it back in, and you will see all the favorites go right back to the top again. All right. So that's how you customize your agent. Those are the different ways of making different characters and why that would benefit you. All right. So welcome to the Division 2. Let's pull up the map and show you all the different things you should know. All right. So here is your full map for the Division 2. You have all your different game modes, all your different dark zones, all your different locations, your expansion, DLC, the works. So let's explain your map and game modes. So starting with the map, let's just we'll just go through it. All right. So starting at the top, you have your different dark zones. Okay. So you have Dark Zone West. Come down here, you have Dark Zone South, and then come over here, you have Dark Zone East. All 3 of these will have a different targeted loot. So you can see Richter and Kaiser, Concentrated Company, or Striker. Nice. With that being said, you will also notice that this one, what is this, DZ West, has the invaded icon. It's a contaminated icon with a knife. Pretty cool, right? That's not a knife. This is a knife. Now this signifies that this is a invaded dark zone. And you can see in the bottom right of their DZ West blurb here, it says invaded dark zone. And what that tells you is that this dark zone will have nothing but black tusk enemies, where the other 2 will have whatever normal enemies they have in the dark zone. You know, Rikers, hyenas, outcasts, the works. You get what I'm saying. But that one dark zone is invaded, and that's where all the black tusk are. Now, what's the difference here? Well, the dark zones, the normal ones, will have turrets at each of these control points. So at each of these control points, you'll have a turret where if you go rogue or if there's enemies near the control point, they can't hurt you because the turrets will help take them out. Where over here in the invaded dark zone, there are no turrets. There's nothing to help you. So if there's enemies or rogues or whatever at the checkpoint, it doesn't matter. That's the way it's going to be. That's the way the cookie crumbles. Other things that are different in the dark zone. So for the invaded dark zone, when you get a supply drop, you will only have 1 supply drop with 5 named enemies. If you go to the normal dark zones with a normal supply drop, you will get 3 different supply drops. And each of those will have 2 named enemies. And that's really the big differences between these 3 dark zones. It's not very popular. Not a lot of people, play in the dark zone like they did in the first game. So let's just go ahead and move on to the next. Now, going to the top items we have here on our map, we have Paradise Lost. This is a incursion. We are set to get another incursion this year. They have not given us a release date yet, but this is the Paradise Lost incursion. This is where you would typically get your Ouroboros exotic SMG. But it's not the only place to get the Ouroboros. You can get the Ouroboros from Retaliations. You can get the Ouroboros from, basically just Retaliations and the incursion right now. But typically during a stretch goals event at the end of the season, you would also get access. Next up, we have our expansion followed by our DLC. So if you do not buy the expansion or DLC, you will not see these 2 options. Following that, we have Coney Island. This was given out in year 1, where you have a safe house and 2 missions. Remember that you will also have Manhunt, Legacy Manhunt takeover missions, and we'll talk about that here in just a second. Following that, we have Camp White Oak. Again, you can toggle it invaded, you can toggle it to a Manhunt mission, or just go back to normal. Manning National Zoo, Stronghold. And then you have your different game modes here. You have Descent, which is a rogue light game mode. There are different access points to this game mode, but it is a one and done. What happens is you open up the game mode, you go to floor 1, and then you descend, and then you're in floor 2, and then floor 3, and then floor 4. It's endless. You can do this as long as you possibly want, but just note there is no save point, and there's only one main boss, and that is the Nemesis. So once you take out the Nemesis, the rest of this is just ever, it's never ending, and you can just go as far as you want. The thing with that is the max reward is locked behind loop 41, and I'm just going to let you know right now that not a lot of people are playing Descent, and if I were to even just look on my friends list, all right, so here's my friends list, right? The highest is loop 40. So I don't even have one person on my friends list that's over loop 40 for Descent. And that's crazy because the main reward is at loop 41. So not a lot of people play Descent. It's its own thing. I do have a Descent guide. So if you're ever wondering about Descent, you could just type in Descent guide, and I'm sure one of my guide videos will pop up there. It's fun. There's a lot to know about it. But just so you know, there are more beneficial things in the game. Speaking of which, we have the Summit. So the Summit is one of the best game modes. You have the Summit, you have Countdown, and then if I toggle 2 spots over from my map, you will see we have Retaliations. The reason why I'm talking about Retaliations, Summit, and Countdown is because each of these have targeted loot where you can actually farm for whatever it is you want in the game. So that's right, Retaliations, then you have Summit, and Countdown. Now we'll start with Summit. Summit is a 100-floor skyscraper that you start at the ground level, so you start at floor 1, and then you make your way up to floor 100. As you make your way up, the enemies will get harder. You'll get named enemies every 10 floors, and you could do, like I said, targeted loot. But wait, there's more. Because with Summit, you can also go all the way to Legendary. And what Legendary does is it gives you access, or gives you a chance, to get the Bighorn exotic AR. But that's not the only place you can get that exotic AR. However, it's the easiest. So what do I mean by that? Well, you can get the Bighorn exotic AR through Retaliations, but if you do Legendary floor 10, right? So I told you it starts at floor 1, goes up to 100. As you go up, it gets harder, but your first boss is at floor 10. So what you do, and what a lot of veteran players do, is they'll go up to floor 10, put it on Legendary, and then they'll farm that Legendary boss over and over and over and over, because it's technically the easiest Legendary enemy that can drop you that exotic. And that's how a lot of people are getting their Bighorn. Now, other benefits of running Summit. As you make your way up to Summit, you can do what are called Summit Challenges. And as you do these Summit Challenges, you get additional rewards. All of these rewards will be linked to your targeted loot. So whatever it is you're farming for, Summit makes it very easy to get those items. However, the Summit is more quality-based and not quantity-based. So if you're trying to farm for a lot of items, Summit wouldn't be the place to go. Summit is the place to go for getting good items, because as you go up the difficulty scale, your items will scale along with it. So at normal, you'll get some items with they're okay attributes. You know, they might be a quarter to like halfway. But as you make your difficulty harder and harder, those attributes will go up and up all the way to max. And then you can get maxed out mods. You could get maxed out gear. You could get God rolled weapons. everything like that through the Legendary Summit. But like I said, that's quality-based and not quantity-based. And that's what would move me over to Countdown. So Summit is a 1 to 4 player game mode. Same with Descent. However, Descent I would highly recommend do solo. And in Summit, I actually would highly recommend doing in a team because it is more fun with a team. But Countdown is more like a 8-person mini raid with hunters. I mean, that's basically what it is. It's pretty crazy. Now, each of these game modes, I have separate videos and separate guides breaking them all down because it's so much information per game mode that I have to do separate videos on those. However, here's your summary for Countdown. Countdown is a 8-person mini raid with hunters. Whenever you log in, you are in a group of 4 with another group of 4. However, you're spawned at 2 different locations. You have to take on hunters, unlock countermeasures, then do 2 normal encounters, a main objective, then take on hunters again, and finally extract. So like I said, it's like a mini raid with a lot of hunters, and that's exactly what it is. Now, the thing about Countdown, it's pretty much the opposite of Summit. Where Summit would be, hey, if you want to get maxed out mods and you want to get legendary, caliber gear, you go to Summit. But if you want to get 53 striker drops, you go to Countdown. Because Countdown is a quantity-based game mode where it's just going to give you loot out of the yin-yang. You're going to get so much loot. When people say farming, #1 way to farm gear, I forever say Countdown. Because Countdown not only has that targeted loot, but it gives you a chance to run with 7 different people. Everyone can farm along with you, and you're getting drops from all of the hunters, you're getting drops from all of the encounters, and you're getting drops from all of the main objectives. You're getting gear the entire time you're playing Countdown. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is not the best quality game mode is because you can only do Countdown up to Heroic. So here's your Countdown menu, and you can see I can only go to Heroic. So it is good for getting quantity gear, just not the best quality. Now let's move on from those game modes because we do have those game modes, but we have a locked expedition game mode that a lot of people forgot about. So let's just quickly go over Kinley College. Kinley College is the first ever game mode that was added to the Division once the Division was released. I want to say that this came out maybe a month after the release of the game, and they just kept this on a rotating schedule. However, they never updated Kinley College, and it's still on that weird schedule. The schedule is that Kinley College is only open for like 1 week every couple months. So Kinley College is only open a couple times a year. And that makes it not really worthwhile because a lot of people forget this even exists. And the final reward is the Diamondback exotic rifle, and you can get that anywhere in the game. So the only real reason of doing Kinley College is for the leaderboards, for the patches, and the collectible comps. I mean, that's really it. It's a really cool area. It's a college campus. It's completely different from anything in the game. But like I said, it's usually locked out, so a lot of us forget about it. Okay, so those are all of your different options here above your map. So going below the map, we have our 2 different raids. So we have the Operation Iron Horse, and we have the Operation Dark Hours. Operation Dark Hours will give you the Eagle Bearer, and it will also give you a chance. Let me think here. So the Eagle Bearer. Oh, and then you also get, it's not even a chance, it's guaranteed, a Prototype Course cache. And we'll talk about the Prototype Course here in a second. The other raid is the Operation Iron Horse. This one gives you the Ravenous and the Regulus. Also, more Prototype Core caches. Now, the Ravenous you can get from the Retaliations. So remember, Retaliations is a game mode in this is a game mode added to the map last year, and you can get it that way. Same with the Eagle Bearer, and I'll talk about those two blueprints here in a second. But Operation Iron Horse also has the Regulus, and it has a Legacy Manhunt mission that you can do to get the Sheriff exotic. Moving on, we have the Pentagon with the 2 missions and a safe house that was added in year 1. Very cool area. Remember that all of these areas, if you level 40 boost your character, right? So you level 40 boost your character, you still have to go to Coney Island and do both of these missions on story mode. You still have to go to Camp White Oak, Manning National Zoo. You still have to go to the Pentagon and DARPA and this safe house and do everything on story mode. After you do it on story mode, it will then unlock it for all different difficulties. That way you can do it for escalations, you can do it for anything, okay? But just so you know, if you are new and you did a level 40 boost, you have to go to each of these areas and at least do it on story. That way you can go back and do the legacy manhunts. And that's how you would unlock everything on your map. Now this is just the all category, right? And to see your targeted loot, you just hit up on the D-pad, and you can see that all of your areas have different targeted loot. These change every single day. So if you're ever trying to look for gear, weapons, brand sets, gear sets, mods, whatever, just look for the targeted loot. There's one option. Or, like I said earlier, you could change, Summit, Countdown, Retaliations, and do targeted loot that way. All right, next up on our categories here, we have our bounties. So the bounties category is per zone. So each of your named zones have their different set of bounties. However, during holiday events, and this is just the big one, during holiday events, you will get exclusive bounties that you can then keep. And you can see here, I can go up against Krampus whenever I want because I kept all of my old Krampus bounties. And that's only during the holiday events where we've had the Houndsman, the Bloody Houndsman. If I go over here, it took out my normal Houndsman bounty, but I still have the Bloody Houndsman from Valentine's Day. So we have all of these different bounties that we can save and knock out whenever. And just a little tip and trick for the bounties. The Bloody Houndsman, if you find somebody with this bounty, just farm the very beginning of this bounty. And you can get all named items and all holiday exclusives. I repeat, if you find somebody with this bounty, it is in Southwest, it's called the Bloody Houndsman, and you just do the beginning. Don't even do the whole bounty, just the beginning. And you can farm those enemies over and over and get every named item and every exclusive named item for it being PvP exclusive or holiday event exclusive. Obviously, hunters and things like that, it's different. But for PvP exclusive named items and holiday exclusive named items, this is your #1 bounty to farm. So just find somebody with this bounty, just do the beginning part and then reset it, and you can get everything you need. All right? Going back to our map, right? So that's the bounties category. The next category over is retaliations. Now this was added last year. So retaliations, what this does is as you are going up against a certain faction, this faction will get aggressive. As they get more and more aggressive, they'll try to take over parts of your map. As you can see right here, we have the Black Tusk upset with us. So the Black Tusk is trying to take over, what is this, the West End? And then what I would do is I would fast travel to the safe house. I would initiate the retaliation, take out these 3 these 3 control points, and then the retaliation would be over. Now, the retaliations are by far the best thing added to this game in a long time. Here's why. Check it out. So as you are playing retaliations, you will get kill squads. or you will get a reward after you complete the retaliation. The developers added a new category to the crafting bench. The bottom right category is called exotics. This was just added last year. If you go to this category, you can actually craft all of your exotics. Look at this. You can craft the eagle bearer. You can craft the bighorn, the big Alejandro, the bullet king, the iron lung. Look at this. You can craft the pestilence, the backfire, the lady death, the Ouroboros. You can craft the Scorpio, the sheriff. You can craft the diamondback I was just talking about. You can craft the ravenous or the vindicator. I mean, hell, you can even craft the tempest, the catharsis, the coyotes, the tinkerer mask. You can craft the memento or the ninja bike backpacks. You can craft pretty much all of the exotics you need in the game. Look at this. You can craft the overdogs if you wanted to. All of these are located in the exotics category in your crafting station, and they are all locked behind your retaliations. And if you do not have a blueprint, let me show you. If you do not have a blueprint, like right here, I do not have the bittersweet. And it says to get the bittersweet, I would have to take on a kill squad for the cleaners. And then the cleaners might give me a bittersweet blueprint after I complete that kill squad. And that's how you would collect all of these exotic blueprints. And then you can just craft all of the exotics that you want in the game. This is one of the best things the developers added, and it has targeted loot. So you can use that game mode. You can farm it for any targeted loot you want, and you're getting exotic blueprints all at the same time. It is by far one of the best game modes added to the Division 2. Now again, that's if you go to your map and you toggle to the right 2 spots over. Now next up you have, let's see here, your SHD. So this is your shepherding status. Not a lot of people use the shepherding status, but I'll still let you know about it. So the shepherding status is where you help out nearby agents. There's 2 ways of doing this. You would either go to your settings and go to the on-call and put this on on-call. That way you can answer people's call for backup. Or you can just go to your map, toggle over to matchmaking, and then do random call for backup. Either way, that would then get you under the shepherding category. And it says here on the left hand of your screen that I would need 15 endorsements to go up 1 level for my shepherding status. Now here's why nobody uses the shepherding status. All right. It goes up to 99 levels, and then it resets every season. So it's not like the shade levels or dark zone levels or anything like that. Once you hit a certain part, you get to keep your levels. No. This one resets every season. So it shows right here I'm only at shepherding rank 1 because we're in a new season, and I'm not doing the shepherding status event because there's no reason to. There's no real rewards or anything in this. Like, yeah, you will get, let me show you. You do get a, I want to say it's a unicorn. Where's the unicorn at? So you do get a unicorn backpack trophy. And it is pretty cute, but nevertheless, it's just a unicorn right here. So you get the shepherding unicorn, and this is for dedicated shepherds for that event. I mean, yeah, it's cute, but again, those levels and everything, they reset every season, and there's no real like rhyme or reason to grind it out every season. Once you get the backpack trophy and the patches, you're pretty much done. Next up, we have our matchmaking category here on our map, and this one I use quite a bit because you can matchmake countdown, you can matchmake random bounties, you can call for backup, you can go over here to retaliations, or you can matchmake random missions. That way you can just jump into a group really quick, not have to worry about it, and you know what's happening. Now this is only for certain things in the game. Obviously the expedition, that one's linked to Kinley College, and because that one is unavailable, you cannot matchmake for it. Now, there are other things like escalations and things like that, but I'm going to talk about escalations and prototype at the end because that is the newest thing added. So let's get through everything else in the game before we start talking about that. So going back to the map, those are all of your options to the right. Okay, now let's start going to our options to the left. First up, you have your new Manhunt menu. This has been reworked and redone every couple years since year 2 of the game, because we used to have a seasonal Manhunt, then we had a seasonal Scout. Now they just combined the two to where it's a Manhunt menu, but it's a weekly Scout. All it is just rebranding, and they kept reworking it and tweaking it to where this is your weekly Manhunt, but they call it the weekly Scout at the same time. All right. And then they changed it again and added high value targets. So let's talk about this. All right. It's really not that complicated, but it's just made to look that complicated. Every season, you have weekly Manhunt Scouts. Now, a weekly Manhunt Scout is basically just a thing that unlocks every week to get you to do a few activities, and then it will give you some collectibles. Now, as you progress through the season, you will then get what is called a high-value target. A high-value target is not the same as a Manhunt Scout, or at least they don't want you to think so. The reason for that is you have to take out these high-value targets to unlock the climax mission at the end of your season. So if I were to go to the bottom left, you can see the option where it says Legacy Manhunts. And if you click on that, these are all of your different seasonal finales. All of them. So if you want to go back and do any of the seasonal finales, you can. But this is another thing that they reworked and renamed again and again and again. Because this used to be a season finale. Then they called it a seasonal Manhunt takeover mission. And then they called it a climax mission. And now we have a master climax. I know. But long story short, it's just a seasonal finale. Okay. And if you go to your legacy Manhunt missions, these are all the different seasonal finales. All of them. Some of these will give you hunters. Some of these will give you new skills. Some of these will give you new exotics. Some of these will give you vanity items. Some of these will give you cool cutscenes. And some of them will give you patches. Some of these also have Easter eggs in them. Some of them have backpack trophies. All of these are different, okay? Now, the thing about it is right up until Theo Parnell. So right up until Theo Parnell, these were all just finales. These were all just, you could go to these finale missions, you would take them over, and it would catch you up to speed on everything going on that season. As soon as they started with Theo Parnell right here, and then going down, so it's been a while, but as soon as they started with Theo Parnell, they changed it to where now it's a master difficulty climax mission. It's a lot. Word salad. Anyways, the Theo Parnell started the new master difficulty to where if we go to Theo's mission, and Theo's mission's over here in Space Admin HQ, and if we toggle Theo Parnell, you would see that they have a new difficulty here, Master. Master difficulty is only on the climax missions from Theo Parnell till today, right? So every single season we are working on a new climax mission or season finale, and each of those season finales will give you a chance of doing it on Master difficulty. So what is this new difficulty about? This new difficulty is to give you more puzzles, to give you more things you have to basically complete and put together in a certain way before you can move on to the next. Some of these have secret bosses, some of them have secret hunters, and it's all on Master difficulty. With that, it's basically just like a heroic plus. So if you've done escalations and things like that, you can do master difficulty. If you've done raids and incursions, you can do master difficulty. It's really not that crazy. It's not legendary content at all. It's like heroic plus, if you will. Now with that though, what they did is if you do master difficulty, you can see on the left side of your screen under rewards that the exotic has a big box highlighting it. And that's because if you do master difficulty, you are guaranteed the reward. So if I were to do Theo Parnell and master, I am guaranteed the provocateur, chess piece. And you can do that for any of those manhunts. So again, if you go to your manhunt menu, you can go to the bottom left, go to legacy manhunts, and I would highly recommend doing all of these. That way you get all of the collectibles, you get all the exclusive items, and you catch up on the lore. I would highly, highly recommend it. It's so much fun. You get a hidden hunter with Schaefer. Let's see here. You get the chess piece with Stovepipe. You get the recruiter hunter. You get the freedom hunter with Agent Kelso. You get the duck Keener Easter egg at the Aaron Keener. You get the secret duck boss at Theo Parnell. You get the wolves hunter at Agent Kelso. There's so many things that are hidden behind these legacy manhunts. I would just highly recommend that you would knock out each of those to not only catch up with the storyline, but also get all of those exclusive items. But remember, these older ones only go up to heroic, where if you go to Theo Parnell and anything newer, you can go to the master difficulty. Okay? Now, going back to your Manhunt Scouts, the high value targets are the only ones that you have to do. You do not have to do any of these normal scouts, but you do have to complete the high value targets. For example here, we are in a year 8 season 1 right now. With that, our high value targets are in week 3, week 6, and week 9. So every 3 weeks, we're going to get a high value target. You have to complete each of those 3 to then unlock the seasonal finale. Each seasonal finale you can do on master difficulty and get the new exotic. All right? And I think that is it for the manhunts. Let's move on to the projects. So projects, I glossed over this a little bit earlier, but you can complete these projects on every character you have and reward your account. So if you have 4 characters, you can do all of these projects 4 times and get 4 times the rewards. Now, with that being said, the best projects to look for would be the weekly shade requisition. This one, all you have to do is donate materials and you complete it. Every time you complete a weekly project, you will get a lot of rewards. For example, here you get an exotic, 2 recalibration, a gear crafting, and optimization cache. For this weekly, you get 1 named item cache, 3 exotic components, 700k XP, a bounty, a weapon, a gear, a whole bunch of stuff. And that's why I was saying earlier that the best thing for you to do is to have all 4 characters. That way you have somewhere to, stash all of your extra items, and you can take advantage of all of these projects. After that, we have conflict. So this is PvP only. This is your only part of the entire game that is PvP dedicated. Everything else can either be PvE or PvEVP. But conflict is the only part of the game that is nothing but PvP. And that's it. So if you're playing in conflict, best believe you're going to be doing PvP the entire time. There are no NPCs, just other players. With that being said, you do have rewards doing conflict. So there's a secret outfit that you get. And the funny thing is that I'm wearing half of it right now. You don't even know it, do you? I'm wearing the rogue pants And I'm wearing the Rogue boots, even though those are definitely not boots. But I'm wearing them, right? So this is a part of the secret outfit. You also get a Rogue shirt. Let me see here. I know it's a purple. But they don't even tell you when you're going to get them. It just appears in your inventory. And then it just says congratulations. It's like a secret outfit. So I know it's... there we go. I was about to say, I know it's alphabetical order. And then you have a Rogue scarf. And all of these. There we go. And then we have, I think we have Rogue glasses. Yep, Rogue glasses. And it's a whole secret outfit. And it's linked behind Conflict. You can also get some of these in the Dark Zone. But I was able to get all of them from Conflict. Not only that, but you would then also get a patch. So I think it's all the way at the bottom. It's like an all black patch for reaching level 90. And then you get a backpack trophy for reaching level 100. And then that's it. So you can play Conflict every day. It's just normal PvP. It does normalize your weapons for the most part, but it's the same for everybody. Meaning, you can jump in here at level 40 and get the same numbers and results that I do. Because there's no watch levels, there's no expertise or anything like that in Conflict. They completely normalize it for PvP, and that way everyone is playing on the same page. All right, so that's it for your map. Woof! I know, there's a lot. So as far as different game modes to play, we've already talked about it. You have your Descent, that's your Rogue Light. You have Summit, Countdown, Kinley College, whenever they decide to grace us with that. And then... I mean, really, that's about it. Oh, we have retaliations that we can do, but that's just an open world game mode, I guess. Yeah, that's really it. Okay? So those are your game modes. Next, let's talk about our seasonal menu. Because we haven't even talked about the settings or menus yet. So let's start there. Whenever you click start, you have your menu. This is your main menu. But we're going to talk about the seasonal menu because this is something that has been added to the game and it changes all the time. Okay? So as you click start to your menu, go to the right, and this will be your seasonal menu. This changes every season. First up, you have your seasonal event. So this will only appear if you have a event active, which we do. We have the Cherry Blossom event going on right now. Next up, you have your seasonal pass. Now this one will obviously change every season because you get different rewards every season. Mind you, though, you can also buy a season pass, bundle, right? So you have all of these different categories to buy your different seasonal passes. The free season pass will only give you the items that you see right here that say free item. Everything that does not say free item is locked behind their seasonal pass. So you either have to buy that pass or you can just get these free items. So out of 100 levels, you would probably only get, what, like maybe 20 rewards or so? It's really not that crazy. But that's the incentive to get you to buy the different season passes. Now with that, you have your seasonal journey. Now your seasonal journey is going to change every season as well, and this one is linked to your modifiers. We haven't talked about modifiers yet because modifiers are only seasonal based. So they're not as important. They're about as important as this season pass menu because it changes every season. So if you watch this a few months from now, it's going to be different. It doesn't matter, right? It's steadily changing all of the time. However, things to note here for your seasonal journey. Each of these objectives will give you really good rewards. It will give you BTSU firmware for your passive modifiers, but then it will also give you XP, seasonal journey builds, exotics, exotic components, named items, a whole bunch of stuff. And that is for doing all of these. You'll get rewards for every objective. It will also give you season pass XP and help you max that out as well. However, there is no end reward that is incentive for you to complete the entire journey. So if you do not want to complete the journey, you do not have to. These are just things to get you to play the game in different ways to unlock some of your modifiers. But if you don't care about having all of your modifiers, you do not have to do your journey. This is just a way of keeping you busy, if you will. Now, the BTSU firmware, what is that about? Well, they added this season a new vendor right here, Recumbent. And with this new vendor, you can use your BTSU firmware and buy different passive modifiers. These different passive modifiers will give you different perks, different talents that you can use for your build or whatever during this season. But like I said, it goes away at the end of the season, so there's really no need to like fully invest hard into your modifiers because they're just going to end up changing. Or you just focus on your build, on your weapons, on your expertise, getting all your prototype gear, getting all of that together, and then you can start worrying about modifiers and stuff like that. But I'll show you a quick little thing about modifiers here in a bit. But that is a part of your seasonal journey. So going back to your seasonal menu, you have your season events that will pop up. Your seasonal pass, as you're ranking up your seasonal levels, these are all the rewards that you get. Your seasonal journey, things for you to keep busy during this season. That way it will also give you some modifiers that you can use for that season. Next, we have priority objectives. Now, priority objectives are going to be here forever, and this one doesn't really change. So priority objectives are always the same. Let me show you. You have 3 different options. This is another way of farming, if you will. And if you haven't noticed yet, there's, 58 different ways to farm all the same stuff. Now, for priority objectives, what this does is it hard focuses on one category at a time. So if you want to go open world, you click open world, and it says here, due to propaganda broadcasts. But if you don't want to do that, you can click abandon objective. You only get 1 abandon an hour. So if I click abandon on this one, I am not allowed to click abandon for an hour on this character. So for example, we'll click abandon. Now we have our 3 different priority objectives. Our 3 different priority objectives, like I said, will give you 3 different options to do 3 different things in the game. They will also give you 3 different types of rewards. For example, here we have PvP, which would give me XP. We have a mission, which would give me more E-credits. Or we have another open world activity, but this time, it's going to give me an exotic. Pretty cool. I'm going to click on that one. Well, you know what? How about no? I don't like these 3 options. So if you don't like these 3 options, you do have a re-roll option as well. So click re-roll, and there you go. Now we have 3 different options again. Now, Stronghold with XP is amazing. So that's the one I'm going to click because I know that Strongholds are longer than missions, and I know that the longer the Stronghold, the better the reward. So I know that if this is going to be like Tidal Basin or Roosevelt Island, I'm going to get a big, hefty XP reward at the end. Let's see. Now it says I got the smaller of the strongholds. I received District Union Arena. However, it says that for the reward, I would get an additional 365k XP. Pretty cool. And that's all your priority objective is doing. It's giving you different things that you can prioritize, and then it will give you additional rewards. It's not that great of an option. I like Retaliations better, but it's still here to keep you busy. Now, your last category for your seasonal menu is going to be, your seasonal event timeline. Now, this one also changes every season. The reason for that is you get different events every season. You get different seasonal events during the week. You get different weekend events. You get different holiday events, and so on and so forth. So how this works is once you turn on or toggle over to your events timeline, you will have a ongoing category and then what's coming soon. And then that way you can properly prepare for what's to come in the game. Now with that, you can click toggle event details and it will give you little short descriptions on what's going on, how to, accommodate or how to participate, and what rewards will follow. For example, right here, right now, we have a triple XP event. Now this one gives you triple XP for 1,000 shade levels. Like I was telling you earlier with your watch, once you reach shade level 1,000, all of these attribute boxes are maxed out. So that's why they do these event XP, grinds up to 1,000 levels, because they know that if you do this triple XP event, you could get all the way to min-maxed, and then you're good to go. And that's exactly why they give it to you for 1,000 levels. That way, if you're new or returning, you can get to shade level 1,000. Not only that, but if you were to grind 1,000 levels during this event, it says right there, it'll give you an exotic. Pretty cool. Now, not only that, but it will show you what's going on in the future. So optimization surge event, conflict XP, shade exposed, blah, blah, blah. Now, if one of these was a global event, you would have to go into the event details and click activate. But because this is a ongoing holiday event and this is a XP event, we do not have to toggle anything. So these are active the entire time. To get access to your events timeline, to your season pass, and to your projects, you need to be level 40. All right? And that will conclude the seasonal menu. Now that we are looking at our normal menu, let's go down to the bundles and we'll talk about that. So here is your apparel bundle menu, if you will. We already showed you what it looks like for your character, right? So if you go to the apparel menu, this is your own apparel. And then if you go to the store, this is your store menu. Your store menu will have different options. The first one that I showed you was outfits, right? So if you click on outfits, it shows you all the old outfits, and then you can go over there and you can complete it or buy it with premium credits or textiles, whatever. Doesn't matter. You can go through each of these and you could find your favorite outfit from whatever event, and you can put it together right then and there. If you want to look like a hunter, you can look like a hunter. If you want to do anything, you can put it all together right here through this category. The next category, let's see here, go to store. The next one would be your season pass. You click on that and it would bring up your add-ons and everything that I already showed you for your season pass. We're not too worried about that. Then you have your premium credits. This is a currency that they use in game. And at the end, they would typically have a one-time offer at the start of every season. That way you can get some premium credits and get a exclusive mask for that season. Now, after the premium credits, you have your weapon skins. Now, we have exotic weapon skins where you can get those here at the top. So if you missed the, where is it? If you missed the pestilence weapon skin, there it is right there. Look at that. Looks so cool. I dig it. I really dig it. I get a lot of people asking me about this pestilence skin, so that's why I'm showing you this one, because it's at the top of your weapon skins category and you can come and pick it up if you want. All right. Then you can scroll down to your other exotic skins. Then you have specialization skins, followed by more exotic skins, more specialization skins. And then finally, your named item skins, and then your high-end skins. All right. At the very bottom, you can find skins that you can pick up for textiles if you haven't picked them all up for textiles. It will have the premium credit number, but then it would also have a textiles number right next to it. That way you can pick it up for textiles. Now, next one would be the bundles, right? So this is where every week they change up the bundles. And every week during my news update videos, I'll show you these bundles because they change all the time. And a lot of people like their bundles. I mean, hey, man, to each their own. I know a lot of people play Fortnite for the skins. I get it, man. I get it. So if they're going to have some cool bundles and whatnot, I'd like to know about it too. I get it. Nevertheless, here we go. For this week, we have 6 different bundles. We have that Hunter bundle, which is pretty damn cool. Remember, this is the initial backpack that I was using, and I just changed it to full black. Pretty cool. Next one is bundle number 2, Minpo. Because we are going through the Cherry Blossom event, we have a lot of our Asia-inspired bundles, and they all are really cool. I dig it. Bundle number 3 is the Sakura Petals bundle. This is the Skill VFX bundle. And these new types of skins go on top of your skills. So you can put it on your hive, your turret, your drone, or your seeker mines. And this is a new change that the developers added, I don't know, a year or 2 ago. Because at the very beginning of the game, we had pre-order skill VFX from like year 1. And they never did anything with it until like year 7. So here we are at the start of year 8, and we are getting a whole bunch of cool skill VFX added to the game. I'm here for it. Looks really cool. After that, we have one of our older Halloween bundles. This is the Under Wraps. It's like your combat mummy. We have our other new hunter, the Gariel. Now, this is the new backpack that I'm wearing forever because it's black on black with black accents. I'm digging it. And I love the shade watches on it. So if you're ever wondering what backpack I'm wearing, it's the Gariel backpack from the Hunter bundle. And finally, we have our brand new Ronin Hunters. And this is our very first Ronin Hunter bundle. This is the Red Fox Ronin. And during the seasonal event right now in the game, we have different Ronin Hunters to hunt down. But that's actually everything for your apparel store. You then have the showcase here at the bottom, but it's just showing you things that you already know about. Okay. So we did the bundles, we did the seasonal menu. Now it's time to talk about our settings. And then I think we can finally go into other things. So settings. This is a big one. So we'll just go through the big ticket items and then we'll move on to the next. So under gameplay, I have all of the indicators turned off. I feel like that helps me with the immersion in the game. That way I don't see things pop up on every box, on every tree, on every corner of everything in the game. There are no indicators for that, so it kind of helps with the immersion. Next, the on-call status. Like I was talking about earlier with the shepherding event, your on-call status should be on none unless you're actually preparing to answer a on-call, because this will then pop up on your screen every single time an agent is calling for backup. So unless you are actually getting ready to answer the call for backup, I would have this on none. That way it doesn't berate you with, this agent's calling for backup. This agent needs more help. Help them now. Excuse me. I have the hints turned off. I do have the show damage numbers on, and I'll show you the trick with that here in a second. The next few are personal preferences. So the show skills on group frame, I have this on yes, because I want to see what skills my teammates are using, or if they're not using any skills. Sometimes when people save loadouts, they'll forget their skills. And then whenever they switch to that build, it'll show they only have like one skill available. And it's like, hey man, equip a different skill. And they're like, what are you talking about? And then they go to their build and they're like, oh, all right, I see you. Thank you. So this is a way of helping that. I also have show numeric skill cooldown. That way I know that, hey, my skill is about to be back. Yeah, how many seconds? I don't know. Well, with this option on yes, you will know, hey, I'll get my hive back in 3, 2, 1. There you go. The additional field of vision, in my opinion, is a must. You need to increase your additional field of vision. It will help your overall gameplay in a third-person shooter, I promise. You want this maxed out. What I did personally, and you do not have to do this, but what I did is everyone starts, I believe, at 0, right, for the additional field of vision. I went up by 5s. So I did like a week on 5, then I did a week on 10, then I did a week on 15, 20, and then I finally bumped it up to max. Because if you just go from 0 to 25, the depth perception is going to change to the point where it might even give you a headache. So I just went up in increments, and then I'm good to go. Motion sickness, have that turned off. Turn off the tutorials. Again, you want to try to get as much immersion as you can out of this game. Next, we have the UI. Now, this one is pretty important as well, because a lot of people are wondering about my damage numbers. So let me show you this little trick that we use. So a lot of people who are new and returning to the game do not understand why my damage numbers are here to the right of my screen. And you can see every damage number is on the right. They're all together, and then that way I can just read all of my numbers, and they're all right there together. That is because of my UI setting for scrolling combat text, and it's on floating. If you have this on the default setting, it will look like this. And you can see how the numbers disappear on top of the target. It's hard to see what your damage numbers are. It's hard to keep track of what's going on. It's just not fun, in my opinion. Not only that, but it's on top of your enemy, and it kind of makes your enemy look like a robot with all these different numbers popping off their chest. So I put it on combat scrolling text floating, and then that way when I'm shooting the enemy, all of my numbers are right there on the side. You see? It just makes it way cleaner. My enemy has nothing on top of them. I can just shoot them. And again, it's all about the immersion. All right. So that was your combat scrolling text, and you put it on floating. Next, I do a custom HUD. Continuing down the UI category, we have Raid Speedrun UI, where this one would be helpful just for looking at your times in each section of the raid. However, if you turn this on, it will also bug out for countdown, and a lot of people get upset about that. So I just tell people to have it off unless you are actually trying to do a speed run for the raid. Following that, we go down to the audio. Under audio, I keep everything at 100 and then I lower the music. That way I don't ever get hit with copyright. For the controls, I put the sensitivity all the way up. Now this one is similar to the field of vision, right? So the additional field of vision, we had 25 and 25 on both of these. And I said you start out at 0 and then you go up by 5s. For the controls, I did this a little bit different. I think I went up to like 14 for each. And then I went up by 2s. So then I'd go like 16, and then I'd do 18, and then I'd pump it up to 20. And then I was done. I do not touch the scoped in sensitivity, because whenever you're scoped in with your weapon, I feel as if you want it to stay pretty stable. But that's just me. And also, I don't scope in my weapons that much either. For the controller vibration, forever have that off. It will only distract you. And if you're running controllers with batteries, it will also drain your batteries. For the dead zones, especially on controller, have them on 0. This will test your controller to see if your controller's broken or not. And if your controller is drifting to one side or the other, you can put these up by 1 and then go that way until it stops drifting. But if it's drifting at 0, that means your controller is broken and you should probably get a new controller. But what the dead zone does is it allows your controller to be more reactive to your inputs. So if I'm jumping over to the left, it's going to go there a little bit faster and read my action because of the dead zone. Next, we are going to move over to the graphics. I do increase my brightness and sharpness. I know that a lot of people say my videos are dark and why is the game so dark? But the funny thing is I have these up so bright, dude. It's just the game. The game itself is dark. That's really the only advice I could give you there. As far as disabling VoIP, I do not disable VoIP. That way I can talk to other people. I do have my microphone enabled, but there's a few things in here that I do want to touch on. If you are playing in a game, you need your threshold to be higher than normal, and you need your volume boost to be lower. That way, you're not yelling into your mic, and that way, it doesn't sound like you're yelling. What do I mean by that? If you have your input threshold too high, you would be yelling before the mic actually picks up and lets you talk to people. So if it sounds like you're yelling all of the time, lower your input threshold until it goes off with you normally talking. The next part would be the volume boost. So if you fix your threshold and then you can just talk normally without the mic, messing up, your next part would be the boosting of your volume. So more times than not, whenever I'm streaming PvP or something, I'll meet some people that are really nice, but it sounds like they're talking in a megaphone. And it's because they have this volume boost way up to like 100. Now, what that does is it takes your volume and it rapidly boosts it to everyone listening to you. You don't need that. You do not need to boost your volume like that, especially if you're just talking normal in a video game. Just have that thing on like a 20 and people can still hear you just fine. You do not need to boost your volume that high. And then that way everyone can talk to each other in a normal tone and we can all listen to each other. After that, accessibility. These are for me because, I don't know, my eyes aren't what they used to be. So what I do is I put the large chat on with high contrast. I like the high contrast. It's nice. The on-screen keyboard is also very helpful. I use this on a daily basis because all I have to do is hit down on the D-pad and I can talk to people just by texting. Pretty cool. And then that way, if I'm making a video or something, I can say GG's and I can still talk to everyone listening to the video. Now, as far as everything else in the settings, I think we are good. Another thing for the settings. A lot of people like to nerd out on their network settings, and a lot of people like to test them against different people that they are playing with. So if you're playing with someone and they're saying, hey, man, I'm lagging. I'm really lagging, man. I'm lagging. Here's a technique, okay? Click Start, go to your menu, go over to Settings, and then you can toggle over to Network Stats. Now, these network stats are going to show your connectivity. It will also show if you're lagging. It'll also show what's happening and why. So what you can do is you could test this against the people you're playing with and see who has, the better connection. And then whoever has the better connection, maybe have them host, or maybe have the other people host that have worse connect. I don't know. It's up to you. You can troubleshoot that and do what you will with those network settings. All right. So we've broken down quite a bit. Let's talk about the vendors, right? Because we can't talk about grinding and everything before we, start talking about how you can acquire things. So the first one is your vendors. Vendors are all over the map. You have normal vendors, you have secret vendors, you have seasonal vendors, you have countdown vendors, you have descent vendors, you have DZ vendors. You have, come on, man. You have a Brooklyn vendor. You have 2 Warlords of New York vendors. There's a lot of vendors. And every Tuesday, the vendors will reset. It is a weekly vendor reset every Tuesday. Every Wednesday, the secret vendors reset. So this is why if you ever go to my videos, you'll notice on Tuesdays I'll do a weekly vendor reset, and then on Wednesdays I'll do a secret vendor reset, because the secret vendors reset every other day, while the weekly vendor reset is on its Tuesday. So the secret vendors, it starts on Wednesday, but they only open and close every other day. So it's a whole thing. We'll talk about that after we break down the normal vendors. So normal vendors. You have vendors at every safe zone. So you have one at the White House. You have one at the theater. You have a vendor at the castle. You have a vendor at the campus, right? You have a vendor at all of the main entrances to your dark zones. You have a vendor in 2 in Woney, 1 in DC. I wish we had one in Coney. That'd be cool. But those are your vendors. There's a lot of vendors in the game. Now, the cool thing is your normal vendors will just take normal credits. So all of these items will take the same type of currency. You can get named items, weapons, gear items, and mods from most of your vendors. Another thing, you can sell items to this vendor. You can look at the items in your stash through the vendor. You can also buy back things that you have sold to the vendor. There's a lot of cool things that happen with the vendors. Now, the ones that you really want to harp on the hardest would be your countdown vendor, your clan vendor, and your DZ vendors. Because that's where you get your named items, your PvP exclusives, and those are typically where the best items are to look. So first up, we are in the base of ops. You have your base of ops vendor. Fun fact is this vendor right here is the exact same vendor that was just inside. That guy that I just showed you, those two vendors sell the exact same thing. So whether you're inside the base or you're outside the base, you can look at the base vendor. Next up, we have our countdown vendor. This is our countdown requisition station. So like I was saying earlier with the different game modes, one is countdown. Now, countdown, when you complete countdown, you will be given countdown tokens. They are called countdown requisition tokens. You can use your countdown requisitions tokens at the requisition station. So you can see right here, 75 will give you named items, 112 will give you a named item cache, then you have different gear items, and then finally an exotic cache. All right. Now this week, luckily enough, there's Dark Winter, which is a fan favorite, Picaros, which is a fan favorite, and you could always buy your exotic caches. But the only way of getting these tokens is to complete a countdown run. You can't go through countdown and then die halfway through and back out. You have to complete your countdown runs. That way you get your different requisitions tokens and you're good to go. Now the next vendor over here at the base of ops would be your clan vendor. Now a few things to note about your clan vendor. If you go to your clan details, let's see, under management, would it be under details right here? Would it be under overview, progression? Yeah, right here. Okay. So through your clan, right? Every clan is the same. You all have weekly progressions. You all have upgrades and everything for your clan. As you are leveling up your clan, you will level up the vendor. You can see right here. So at level 2 for your clan, you unlock the clan vendor. At level 7, you upgrade it. At level 12, you upgrade it again. At level 16, you upgrade it again. And I think, yeah, that's it. Okay. So to max out your clan vendor, you need to be at level 16 for your clan. All right. Now, with that being said, this is what a maxed out clan vendor would look like. You would get a named item, followed by gear set items, high-end items, and then finally mods. These are all usually fairly decent items. I mean, if you go to the gear set items, you can see these are all pretty good rolls. It's really not bad. Not bad at all. Your clan vendor is going to be one of your best vendors. Your clan vendor, your countdown vendor, because your countdown vendor has those named items. And sometimes you can get a PvP exclusive item from those vendors. Now, the Dark Zone vendors will only take DZ resources. So that's different. If you're not going to go into the Dark Zone, you're not going to get DZ resources. And if that's the case, then you'll never be able to do a Dark Zone vendor. All right? That's just the way the cookie crumbles. So let's talk about your Descent vendor, and then we'll move on to the secret vendors. Your Descent vendor is another vendor where it will not... you cannot use this if you do not play Descent. Because the only way to get these NSA tokens would be through Descent. Uh-oh. Yo, am I really getting... Yo, I have a hunter on me? I have a free... Yo, stand by. I'm so sorry. If you see this, just say I saw that in chat. I see it in the comments. I really was not trying to take on a random hunter engagement right now, but here's the Fox Ronin. The Fox Ronin is a part of this seasonal holiday event, the Cherry Blossom event. He's about to heal up again. That way, do that. And he's just gonna right back into cover again. Oh.
System back online.
I got him. Whoop. Okay. He's really trying me with that drone. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yep, got him. GG's. Alright, so we got our hunter kill. I'm sorry about that. I really was not trying to do that right now. I didn't choose this life. This life chose me. Alright, so anyways. Descent. Like I was saying earlier, Descent is a rogue-lite game mode. I have numerous Descent guides that you can go to. I have a Nemesis guide, a full 2025 guide, and a 2026 guide. So you can pull up any of my Descent guides. They're all the same. They have not changed Descent in years. They're not going to change Descent anytime soon. So if you find one of those guides, you will be caught up to speed. But within Descent, every time you take on a boss, whether it be at the end of a loop, or the Nemesis, or in a boss room, anything like that, anytime you take on a boss, you will get NSA tokens. You can then go to this vendor, which is a NSA station, and then you can claim your tokens. You will be able to get different caches, you'll be able to get different exotics, and you'll be able to get game mode bonuses. The game mode bonuses will be underneath this exotic, and it will say something like more accuracy in Descent, more armor on kill in Descent, more skill damage in Descent, things like that. So whenever you go to this vendor, if you are playing Descent, you can then spend your NSA tokens right there at the NSA station vendor. So that's pretty simple, right? Your next one are your secret vendors. So your secret vendors, the reason why they're secret is you don't see them on your map. They're nowhere to be found. I don't see a secret vendor. Do you see a secret vendor? So to get to a secret vendor, you have to find the snitch. The snitch is located in over a dozen different locations throughout the open world. Yo, I just got them to spawn again, dude. I'm not trying to do this right now, game. Oh my gosh. GG's, man. So first we got the hunter, now we've got the kill squad. Good thing I have a good build on. We'll talk about builds here in a second. There we go. And bada bing, bada bing. Alright. Sorry about that. I was not trying to do that either, but during this event, there's a lot of open world things that can happen to you, and it's just a part of the event. So pick up your loot, and you're good to go. Alright. Now, going to your secret vendor, and then I'll teach you one other thing with your menu, and then we'll move on to the next. Is your secret vendor, you have to find the snitch. The snitch is not there, so let's try to find a different location. The snitch is located over a dozen different locations throughout the map, and this will give you the access to your 2 secret vendors. There he is. So the snitch, there we go. I believe his name's Jared Nash.
Hostile control point nearby.
Let's see. It'll say. All right, so there's the snitch.
Come here.
Yeah, Jared the Snitch Nash. Now, when you talk to the snitch, he'll give you a bounty, and it's based off of your global difficulty setting, and he will give you access to the 2 secret vendors. He appears in different locations every time you log out and log back in, and he appears in different locations per character. So it's random. You have to find him, okay? Now, for my location for the snitch, you can see I'm located at 561 by 4430, and I'm just outside of the Space Admin HQ mission. Now, I just said global difficulty setting. I did not show you this on the map because I knew that once we talked to the snitch, we would have to talk about this. So if you go to your map, you can see in the bottom center of your screen, it says global settings. If you click on your global settings, you can change your map difficulty. So if you want all the enemies to be normal, you can click on normal. If you want all of them to be hard, you can make them hard, challenging, or heroic. Heroic is the hardest you can do for your global difficulty setting. Now next, you can choose directives. Now I'm going to let you know right now that some of these directives are bugged and use them at your own risk. However, if you do decide to add different directives, you can get up to 125% extra XP, and that will give you a better chance of getting more targeted loot drops. But if you turn off all the directives, you can just do your open world on heroic with no extra stresses. The other part to your global difficulty setting is you can reset your control points. For example, if we were doing the Manhunt Scout 4, and it says you have to do control points in East Mall, okay? If it's telling you to do control points in East Mall, here's East Mall, but if I had all 3 of these as green control points, I could not take them over. So the other option would be play this on a different character, or if I don't have a different character, to reset those control points, I would just go to my global difficulty setting and click reset control points. Pretty simple. Now, with that being said, the snitch will give you a bounty. It says accept bounty on the snitch, but he will also give you the location to 2 of your secret vendors. When you click accept bounty, it says right there, gun runner location revealed. That's one of your secret vendors. But if you pick up the bounty and look at it, well, you look at this, look at that, you'll see that the bounty that I just picked up is a heroic bounty, and it matches my global difficulty setting. So the trick is to go to your bounty details, click abort bounty, and you can keep this for later. Look at that. I just added it to the list of all of the other bounties. Pretty cool. And now you can see the bounty's gone. And I should have, and you can see right there, the location to Cassie Mendoza. And let's see, where's my other secret vendor? There we go. And the location to Danny Weaver. But it says in the top left of your screen that this vendor is closed. And that's because it's your secret wandering vendor. Like I said earlier, these vendors open and close every other day, and you have to find the snitch to find their new location. So I just found their new location through the snitch, but it shows right there that they do not open for another 3.5 hours. So I have to wait, even though I have their location unlocked, for them to actually appear. And those are your secret vendors and the finishing parts of your menu settings. Pretty cool. All right. So now we're going to get into more of the building, crafting, tinkering part of the video. because now I have explained your different characters, your projects, your map, your season, all the different game modes, all the different difficulties, and all the different ways of playing the game. But we all know that with a looter shooter, it's all about the loot and the build that you use to get the loot. All right? Building is a big part of this game. A big part of this game. So outside of getting the vendor, right? So the vendors will give you access to different builds. You can get different named items, different weapons, different brand sets, different gear sets, different mods. You can get all of these to have different options for different builds. But there's also crafting. So I did mention earlier that you can play Retaliation. So if you go to your map and you toggle over to the right 2 times, you can do these different faction retaliations and get exotic blueprints. But that's just for exotics. So let's talk about crafting first. As you are going through the game, Anaya here is your crafting NPC. She will supply you with any new blueprints or anything that you have not already claimed yourself. But if you are a veteran of the game like I am, it might say no items available. But if you are new or returning to the game, she might have a few blueprints that you don't already have, and then you can pick them up right here, right now. Now the crafting station. This is the other way of getting your items together for a build, because you can farm builds, you can buy builds, or you can craft builds. So let's talk about crafting. To craft items, you need a blueprint. You will get certain blueprints as you level up the game, and if you do a level 40 boost, you'll get more blueprints for free. There are also blueprints you can get from your quartermaster. There are blueprints that you can get from your specialization. There are also blueprints that you can get every season. There are blueprints that you can get from the reconstructed caches and more. So, let's explain all of these different blueprints. Going over, we'll start with the quartermaster here. So the quartermaster is located at the base of ops, just across from your vendor. Hello. And if you toggle over to perks, you will see a few different categories for blueprints that you can craft. You can craft magazines, you can craft muzzles, optics, and you can craft 2 different grips. All of those will then go to your blueprints and you can start crafting them. Pretty cool. Another way is to buy the blueprints from Anaya, or you can do control points. Some blueprints will be hidden behind a control point. These control points have to be level 3 or higher to get a blueprint. So if you're new or returning to the game, do a few control points and you'll catch up on those blueprints. Or get a few reconstructed caches and you'll catch up on some blueprints. But the first way would be do these control points. Do level 3 or above, so that would be challenging or heroic. And you will get a blueprint once you complete it. But it's only a few blueprints, it's not that many. So I would just keep doing control points until you don't get a blueprint, and then you're done, right? You could start focusing on reconstructed caches. So reconstructed caches is one of the newer caches that was introduced to the game in 2 different ways, okay? The first way of getting reconstructed caches is from Descent. So you can either get a reconstructed cache from the Nemesis, you can get a reconstructed cache from the NSA station. Now, what is a reconstructed cache? If we pull this up, you'll see it's the number 1 option to buy. A reconstructed cache is a weapons and gear that is previously encountered in the field that have been updated in the database, creating a blueprint that's allowing the simulation to digitally reconstruct it and manufacture those items to you. So if there is a old named item from a season's past, which means if you're playing right now, you're in year 8. So any named item from year 1 to year 7 would be in this cache. So what you would do is you'd pick up this cache. It would give you one random named item and a blueprint. All right. The other way of getting that cache is through your retaliations. So retaliations that were just added to the game, this previous year, is the only other way of getting these reconstructed caches. Now to get that, you have to go to your crafting station. And you remember in the bottom right, I was talking about exotic crafting. Well, there's a category. So if you click on exotics and go all the way down to the caches, you'll see reconstructed cache. This is the only other way of getting a reconstructed cache. Now, when you pick this up, this is a very, very valuable cache. Very valuable. You can get all of your named items and you can just craft all of your builds. So here's a reconstructed cache. Let me show you. Now it gave me a random named item and then it would give me a blueprint. That blueprint would be any named item that's left in the game that I don't already have. So if I go under my weapons, you can see all these named items. If I go under, I don't know, any of these, you can see I have all of them. Go to mask, and then you can see all of the named items here, including the Hollow Man. Going to the backpack, you can see all of these named items. And that's how you get those blueprints. That way, if you're looking for the Matador, you can craft the Matador. If you're looking for the Liquid Engineer, you can craft the Liquid Engineer. This is very, very helpful. Because in retaliations, right? So if you do a retaliation, you have materials to get a reconstructed cache. You have a way of getting exotic blueprints. And it's giving you different targeted loot options. That way you can farm. So you're getting all of these different things at the same time. And that's why I keep saying that retaliations is by far one of the best things the developers have added in the game in a very long time because it's so helpful. It helps you catch up on exotics, it helps you catch up on blueprints, and it helps you catch up on just farming, period. You can target loot anything with retaliations. It's really helpful. But that goes into our blueprints, and that kind of gets us into the exotics and tinkering type of deal here. So we'll talk about crafting a little bit more, because there's another thing that I want to show you with the crafting. So sometimes I'll show off a build that has items that look like this. It's a clear high-end item with no brand set, no gear set or anything, no set bonuses at all. And all this does is it gives you 2 attributes and a mod slot. This is called an improvised gear item. So I have improvised gloves. And if I go down to my knee pads, I have improvised knee pads. And again, no set bonuses or anything, just 2 attributes and then a mod. Pretty cool. Now these are given to you in the crafting station pretty early on in the game. So there are multiple builds that you can craft. You can do your high-end brand sets. You can do your named items. You can do your gear sets. And then you can do your improvised items. Now, I know you can see these exotics here. However, these are called reconfigure blueprints. These are not blueprints to craft these items. These are blueprints to change these items. For example, if you're at your crafting station here and you go down to the bottom right to exotics, this is to actually craft an exotic. But let's say I have a Bullet King here. If I craft a Bullet King and it comes with, I don't know, like health damage as the bottom attribute. I don't want health damage. I want armor damage. So what I would do is I would then go to my weapons, go to LMGs, go to LMG, or go all the way down to reconfigure, go down to my LMGs. There's the Bullet King. And then I would reconfigure that Bullet King and try to go for a better attribute. So you would first have to craft that exotic, and then you could actually go into whatever category and then reconfigure that exotic. Now, yes, there are 4 exotics here that you can craft through a different type of blueprint, but these are typically through quests. So, for example, the Nemesis, that would be through invaded missions. The Chatterbox would be through the Hyenas. The Regulus would be through the Iron Horse Raid. Or you have the Liberty that you have to do this whole quest and get rid of a D50 to craft. Either way, these are the only 4 exotics that you can do that with. But, spoilers, you don't have to do any of these. Except for the Regulus, actually. The Liberty, the Nemesis, and the Chatterbox, all 3 of these are in general loot. So you can get them wherever you get your exotics. But the Regulus is the only one that you have to get through the quest and blueprint. Okay. Now those are your blueprints. Now let's talk about tinkering. And then that way we can get into making some builds. All right. So tinkering. Let me think here. How would I want to do that? So tinkering is basically your recalibration station. So if you were in the division, year 1, year 2, year 3, what have you, we had a recalibration station, right? So we had a recalibration library, we had a recalibration station, and then we had optimizing. So where you could change your stats, and then you could fully optimize your stats. Well, there's a lot more added to it now. Not only do we have recalibrating and optimizing, we also have expertise upgrading and prototype upgrading with augments. Yeah, it's a lot. Here, let's let's talk about it. The cool thing about the tinkering station, once called the recalibration station,
Good to see you.
is that it's still here. Oh, the NPC's gone. Yeah, where's the NPC? Anyways, so the tinkering station is located typically at your safe house, like your safe locations. You have a tinkering station at your base, have one over here at the castle. You can tinker wherever you want. Have one in Brooklyn, have one in, Warlords of New York, but they made it to where you can tinker anywhere. I know it sounds dirty, but you can mess with your gear, recalibrate it, optimize it, everything, anywhere in the game. Here, I'm going to show you. So I'm way out here in front of the base of ops, and I just got a random piece of gear. Let's see here. I got a random chest piece. So if I just got this random chest piece, I can then click Tinker, and I can change this chest piece. Now this is an option for any item that you get right off the bat. Whenever you get that item, it will have an option in your bottom right that says Tinker. Click on it, and you can change it right there, no matter what. So what this does is it shows you 2 different options. You can recalibrate and you can optimize. This is essentially the recalibration station from year 1 to year 4. All right? This is what the old recalibration station looked like, where you could only recalibrate, change the stats, or you could optimize and max out your stats. This was it. So if you're new or returning, that's pretty much your old system right there. But wait, that's right, there's more. So after you do that, that's just a individual tinkering. So you can click on any item individually and tinker. But this is not your tinkering station. All right? To get to your tinkering station, you have to be on your normal inventory menu. And then you can see in the bottom right of your corner of your screen, it says Tinkering Station. You click Tinkering Station, and here is your new menu. Now, back in year 4, year 5, they added expertise, and just now in year 8, they have added prototype. So this is a fully up-to-date guide for the Division 2. But if I go back into the base and go back to that tinkering station, you would see that it's the exact same menu that pops up. So come back over here, tinkering station, open it up. You can see it's the exact same menu. We have the library and tinkering, which used to be recalibration library and recalibrate. That's what these two used to be. But then they changed it to tinkering, and then they added expertise, and now prototype. So we're going to start with the library, because the library is the thing that gives you options to tinker. For example, all right, if I get a brand new item in the game, for this example, I'll get a new backpack. We have a new Hanayu backpack here. I'll click Tinker, and then it will show me the different attributes that I can recalibrate. As you see the different recalibration, let's see here, all of these different items and options are all maxed out. All of these attributes are maxed out because of my library. If you do not max out your library, it might say, hey, you could change this to 2% weapon handling. You could change this to 4% crit chance. You could change this to 11% crit hit damage. Either way, it's not going to be maxed out. You get what I'm saying? And that's because you have to max out the library to give you all of these maxed out options. If you don't do that, you will not be able to recalibrate them, and then you'll only be able to optimize them to max. But if you optimize them, you cannot change it, okay? That's a big deal. So say here we have skill haste and repair skills. If I wanted to change the repair skills to skill damage, I would have to have skill damage in my recalibration library, and then I could change it to whatever the max skill damage is in my library. Going back to that tinkering station, right? If you go back to the library, once you max out everything for each item, it will look like this. So what did we just have? We had backpacks. So if I click on backpacks, we have max armor I could change it to, max weapon damage, a skill tier. I could then change it to any of these attributes, and you can see it says they are maxed out. That way, whenever I go to tinker with that item, I can make it a max attribute. Now, it gets even better because you can add all of the talents and any new talents that get added to the game later on to the library, and then you can change those on whichever items allow it. And same with weapons, right? So every season you'll get a new talent. This season, what is it, back and forth? So if I scroll all the way down right there, back and forth. So for each of these categories, you would have to farm one of those weapons with back and forth and then add it to this recalibration library. And that's how, let's see, do I have back and forth on the pistol? I don't think it's allowed on the pistol. Let's see, shotgun. All right, so shoddy, scroll down. Yep, right there, back and forth. And that's what you would do to max out your library. That way you can then start tinkering, and then all of these would be maxed out, and you could change it to whatever it is you want. Now, the next step, right? So we have an item. We have maxed out the attributes. We have optimized everything. Next would be expertise. Now, expertise is its own monster. Let's just be real. But long story short, to become an expert in something, you have to become fully proficient. For example, if I am a builder of, I don't know, a house or something, I would know how to build the door, I would know how to build the windows, I would know how to build the walls, I would know how to build the roof. I would be an expert at building that house. But I would have to become proficient in each of those items to then become an expert. And that's exactly what we have in our expertise menu. So if you go to your tinkering station and now we click on expertise, we have 30 expertise levels. The lighting here is horrible. Let's go back inside and get that better lighting for you. All right, there we go. Tinkering station expertise. There we go. Much better. Now you can see here that each category has a number of items. Each of these items you have to become fully proficient. When you become fully proficient in each of these items, you will see a shield with a star, and it will say proficient. When it is a proficient item, you can then upgrade it. When you upgrade it, depending on what category, it will give you a different bonus. For example, on my weapons, let's see one that's not... All right here. My first bloom. You can see on the right side of your screen, it says Expertise 14. Well, I just showed you that max is 30. And it shows you that 14 means I get a plus 14 weapon damage. That is from Expertise upgrading. Now, my other weapons, for example, my St. Elmo's engine here, this one is Expertise level 30. And it says I have 30% extra weapon damage. So whenever you Expertise upgrade a weapon, you would directly get more weapon damage. When you do a gear item, for example, these gloves, you can see they are Expertise level 13, and it says plus 13% armor. Now, that is not your base armor. That is not giving me 13% more total armor. It is only giving me more percent armor from the base armor on that item. So when you see improvised gloves in the top right of your screen, right below that it says high end, and right below that it says 80k armor. So the plus 13% armor is based off of that 80k right there. So you're really not getting much, right? I mean, with this, we're barely getting 10k armor more because of the 13%. It's really not that much. Now, whenever you go to max it out, though, for this backpack, you can see it's Expertise level 30 plus 30% armor. Well, backpacks have a higher base armor. So you can see here in the top right of your screen, it says Memento Exotic 131k armor. That armor is the percentage you are getting. So 10% would be 13.1 and we're getting 30. So that's that's 39.3k more armor just from that backpack. And that is from Expertise upgrading it. Now you can Expertise upgrade your skills as well. And each skill has a different Expertise attached to it. And once you go back to your Expertise table, you can go down to your different skills, and it will tell you what it increases. Some of them, it might just increase the base damage of that skill. Some of them, it might just increase the effect or the ability of that skill. For example, looking at my pulses, it would give me more damage with my Achilles, where it would just give me more radius on my remote pulse, or more duration on my scanner pulse. So depending on the skill, it will give you different buffs. For example here, my chem launchers, if I increase my riot foam, it gives me more ensnare health on that riot foam. Where if I do my healing chem launcher, it will extend the duration of the heals. So it kind of just helps out whatever item it is you're fully proficient as you Expertise upgrade it. Now, that's about as far as the game would go, all the way up to year 7. Now, we are in year 8, so we do have something new. Our newest level into the game is Prototype. And the only way to do it is to either farm escalations or Prototype upgrade your items. This will give you even more. For example here, I have a mask, it's striker, it's prototype. But if you notice, the weapon damage is not fully maxed out, but that number is higher than normal. Same with that weapon handling. It's higher than the normal 8%, but here it looks like it's nowhere near even max. And then what's the thing on top? This thing's called an augment, and it gives you even more abilities with each item. You can double your damage, you can become immune to damage, you can increase your status effects duration, you could create a status effect, you can get more health, you can get skill cooldown, you can get more bullets added to your magazine. There are several augments added to the game. Now, the two ways of doing this would either be to farm it for whatever targeted loot you want and just hope that you get a good roll, or you would upgrade whatever item you have to prototype. So here's how that works. I know it's a lot of information. I know. I'm sorry. But here's how it would work. You get items, you donate your highest attributes to your library. That way, when you get the items you want to keep, you then tinker those items. You would tinker the item by recalibrating or optimizing. This would either change the attributes or max out the attributes to whatever it is you want. And then you would expertise upgrade them. As you expertise upgrade it to 30, you will then be given the opportunity to prototype upgrade it. So, library, recalibrate, optimize, expertise upgrade, and then prototype upgrade. And yes, there's more. Because once you prototype upgrade, you get a random augment that you can then change. So for example here, the striker, if I wanted to level up my augment, it would cost me 3 prototype cores, or if I wanted to change my augment, it would cost 2 prototype cores. And this is the highest gear level in the game right now, but it does not make or break any of the content that you are consuming. For example, this Hollow Man mask. Yes, it has the augment, which is on all prototype items, but if you look at the attributes, it has the exact same armor, the exact same crit chance, with a augment and increased health damage. That's it. So we're not getting any more crit, we're not getting any more armor out of it, we're just getting more health damage and then an extra augment added to it. Which is cool. It is a new gear level, but does that make or break the game in any way, shape, or form? No, not really. Now that's your tinkering breakdown, all right? We need to now talk about exotics, and then we'll talk about making builds. Because exotics is going to be where your build making kind of centers around. So we'll start at the exotics, and it kind of goes into making a build. There are several exotics in the game. I want to say there's like well over 100 exotics, because over here at the crafting station you can only craft what, like 80 exotics? What is it? Oh, 75. But these aren't even all the exotics in the game. There's numerous, there's way more. With that being said, when you're making a build, exotics are typically the item that tells you what kind of build you would want to use. For example, if you wanted to use the Birdie Quick Fix, it comes with repair skills, and it's all about helping heal people and pick them up. So you would typically use that for like a healer build. Maybe like let's say the tardigrade chest piece. The tardigrade chest piece gives 80% of your armor to your allies whenever they lose their armor. Well, that is based off of yours, so you would probably want as much armor as possible. That way you would give them the most armor back as possible. So the way the developers were making these exotics, they told the community that the exotics is what basically develops that playstyle. Each of these exotics have different buffs, different ways of playing the game. A bighorn, for example, you would need a headshot build. A St. Elmo's engine, you really could use this with DPS tank or anything, because the talent is just shock ammo. So you could really just input that with anything. Where Eagle Bearer, it only procs tenacity if you get a headshot kill. So you might want to go for headshots with that one. There's way too many different exotics, and you just have to figure out which ones fit your playstyle the best, and then that way you can start worrying about different builds to put together. But the number one way I would say to start would be retaliations. Do as many retaliations as you can. That way you can get all of these exotic blueprints. You can experiment with any exotics that you want, and then you can make a build based off of those exotics. Whenever I'm making a build video, you'll notice that unless it's a specific type of video, I typically have a exotic to help it out. We can only have one exotic gear item and one exotic weapon at the same time. So for a lot of these, you'll see two exotics. You'll see an exotic weapon and then some exotic gear item. It doesn't matter. All of these builds are different. But the same thing happens for everyone, is you have to figure out which exotic fits your playstyle, and then you can go from there. Because there are plenty of people out there that love the capacitor or the chameleon, and there's plenty of people that hate the Strega. But there's other people that love the Strega, especially with Negotiator's Dilemma, but maybe they hate the blue screen. But then there's people that use the blue screen, but they hate the Iron Lung. I mean, we could do this all day. But the same thing applies to everybody. You're going to want your exotics, and you have to be smart about which exotics you use, because you only can use one exotic weapon and one exotic gear item at the same time. Okay? Now, there are way too many exotics in the game. I'm trying to compile a list. That way I can do like a worst to best exotic in the game. Or maybe I'll just do like best exotics to use and why. That way I could break down each category and just show you the best ones. Maybe we'll do that later. But that's your quick little summary on exotics. You essentially want to go through them and pick the best ones for you. That way you can build around it. And then you can have a lot of fun in the game. So let's move on to making a build. We're going to make a DPS, a tank, and a healer. And a skill build right here, right now. All right? So, we're going to start with our exotics. We will start with a DPS build. So, here's a standard DPS build. So, let's talk about what a DPS build is, what to look for, and how to make it better and or worse. So, first up, what's a DPS build? It's red core attributes. DPS is damage per second. To increase your damage per second, you need more damage. To have more damage, you need weapon damage cores. So whenever you see all reds like this, you know it is a damage build, or what people call a DPS build. After you have all red attributes, you have to start worrying about your exotics, your brand sets, your attributes, and then go from there. Your crit, headshot, what have you. So, for DPS, I went with a St. Elmo's engine. The reason for that, I was already telling you earlier, is that the talent kind of goes with anything. It just gives you shock ammo. So you could use this on a tank build, DPS build, skill build, it doesn't matter. Either way, the weapon is still going to work the same. You shoot your enemy, you get shock ammo, they get shocked, and then you can just keep shooting your enemy. And vice versa, you can do it over and over and over and over and over. And that's really it. So what I do is I match that with a DPS build. That way, when I shock the enemy, I reload, and then I put all this DPS into them, and they go down pretty quick. So with that, I needed a DPS style exotic. We have several different masks in the game. So we have a DPS mask like this, a Coyote's mask. We have a armor exotic mask like this, the Catharsis. Or we have a skill build exotic mask like this one, the Vile mask. But because we're doing a DPS build, I went with the DPS mask. The Coyote's mask gives you a red attribute, so that's weapon damage. It also gives you all these different crit attributes. And it gives you a talent that gives you more crit. So thinking about that, I have a weapon that is mid to long range, and I have a mask that goes off of those ranges and gives me more crit bonuses. Next, I would need high crit, high base damage, and we can see how to increase our overall damage with these different combinations. So because the St. Elmo's engine is a assault rifle, I would go for brand set bonuses that would give me assault rifle damage. And that's exactly what I did here. The backpack is a Fenris backpack, and that brand set bonus gives you assault rifle damage. So that directly impacts my build. Not only that, but the chest piece is a part of a brand set called Unit Alloys. And the 2-piece bonus gives me assault rifle damage as well. That is matched up with my holster. Now, the other 2 items are flashing. You can see like a little gold flash right there. Same with the holster, actually. Now, they are doing this gold flash because they are named items. So each of these have a gold name. And these named items come with a named attribute for all of them. On the gloves, these are contractor's gloves that give me damage to armor. For the knee pads, we have damage to targets at a cover. And for the holster, we have rate of fire. These are all named attributes because you can see that they have gold text instead of the yellow text or white text. Now with that, why am I running these certain items? The contractor's gloves, you can see it says it works with LMG damage. Well, I'm not really using it for that. I'm using it for that damage to armor because you have crit damage, you have headshot damage, but then you have additive and multiplicative buffs. Multiplicative buffs are going to be buffs like damage to armor, damage to targets at a cover. Then you have your health damage. So our build is actually using all 3 of those. On top of that, you have your additives. So you have your weapon damage, your assault rifle damage. Those go hand in hand. And then you have your crit that would increase those base damages to a critical hit. Now, on top of that, you could use different backpack and chest piece talents to help accent your build even further. For example here, my backpack has the talent Vigilance. This one increases my weapon damage by 25% as long as I don't take any damage. Then going to the chest piece, I'm using Glass Cannon just because it's damage oriented. It gives me amplified damage of 25%. You'll notice that the chest piece says amplified by, and the backpack says increases total. One is a multiplicative, being the amplify, and the increases is a additive. All right. On top of that, we have the holster that gives us more rate of fire. And what that does is it makes our weapon shoot even quicker at a 935 RPM. That is rounds per minute. This directly impacts our overall DPS because now we're shooting at the same damage numbers, but even faster. And that, my dear agents, is how you put a DPS build together. With a armor build, you would then go with, we typically call them tank builds. So a tank build, I would typically use a whole bunch of blue core attributes. So you can see, let's go back to that DPS build. So the DPS build I showed you, you can see the armor is at 979k. That means I don't even have 1,000,000 armor on here, which also means that the enemy does not have to do as much damage to me to take me out. I'm squishy. To be a tank build, you would need more armor. So that would be all blue core attributes. And you can see on this build in particular, I have all of my core attributes to armor, and it has a 2.4 million armor mark. So where the other one had 900k armor, this one 2.4 million. With a tank build, you'd be looking for different attributes. You would be looking for something like armor regeneration, hazard protection, or even health if you're into that kind of thing. But with that, you only want to go with the one that affects your gameplay. Now, if you're not worried about being on a status effect or having an enemy burn you or shock you or whatever, you wouldn't really go for the hazard protection. However, you would go for the armor regeneration, because the armor regeneration, it does just that. It regenerates your armor, and it's for an X amount each second. For example, on this build, I have armor regeneration on all of my items. So when I go to my stats, not only do I have a high base armor of 2.39 million, but I also have a armor regeneration number of 89,313. And that means that I am getting that much armor back per second while I am in combat. And that's all the way up until I get all my armor back. So you're able to run a tank build that is also self-healing at the same time. And then what that does is it gives you an opportunity to then run either crit or a headshot for your other attribute. So you could do all armor, be very tanky, do armor regeneration, that way you get your armor back, and then you could add crit or headshot to that to increase your damage. Because remember, DPS builds, they have damage, but they're squishy, meaning they don't have a lot of armor. If you're a tank build, you have all the armor, but you're not doing any damage. So you have to figure out how to get that damage. The only two ways is to either increase your crit or increase your headshot. And that's exactly what we're doing here, because in all of the other categories, we have crit to go along with our armor regeneration. Now, the next one would be a skill build. So you would either do a DPS build, a tank build, or a skill build. A DPS build, that one, the attributes and the brand set bonuses and everything, it needs to be either directly connecting your weapon damage with your crit or your headshots, anything to help increase that DPS, right? With armor builds, you're not really worried about that. You're worried about more survivability. So going back to that armor build, we have two different talents here to help our survivability. Where the DPS one had Vigilance and Glass Cannon to increase the weapon damage and amplify it. The Adrenaline Rush gives you bonus armor whenever you're close to an enemy, so that gives you more survivability. And a talent like Perfectly Efficient or Efficient, every time you use an armor kit, it has a chance of not consuming. And if that's the case, you could keep using more and more armor kits. And every time you get close to an enemy, you get bonus armor. But wait, remember I was talking about those exotics. Well, the Catharsis is really good for tanky builds or, those armor type builds because of the talent Vicious Cycle. So the more you get injured, the more damage you take, the more damage you could deal. But it only caps out at 30 stacks. So if you take more incoming damage after the 30 stacks, it then heals you and removes any status effects that are applied to you. So if you're shocked and an enemy is shooting you, and then finally it gives you max stacks and then purges this vicious cycle, it will then drop a healing cloud on the ground and take away that status effect. So we have 3 different talents here, and all 3 of them are tank related or survivability related. Where the DPS build, same thing, where we had all reds, we had a talent that amplified damage, a talent that increased our damage, and then we had the exotic that gave us more crit. So 3 talents, 3 damage bonuses. For the tank build, we have 3 talents and 3 different survivability, little buffs. Pretty cool. Now let's talk about our skill builds. You can have multiple types of a skill build. So this would be what is considered a status effects skill build. And then we have what is called a turret drone or a just pure damage-oriented skill build. So status effects is a attribute. It's a yellow attribute similar to skill damage, but this one helps out your status. So it helps out your bleed, your burn, your shock, confuse, the works. With that being said, you also have brand sets and gear sets and talents and all that go along with either skill damage or status effects. If you are spec'd into status effects, you wouldn't necessarily want to use like a turret drone build. If you're using status effects, you wouldn't really need to use like a decoy and a shield, right? because none of these things are status effect, related. You would then go for a skill build. That also goes for your exotics. So for this example, we have the Vial Mask. The Vial Mask has a talent called Toxic Delivery. Now, like I was saying before, doing this whole making a build, summary thing, I was telling you that your exotics will make your build. You got to pick your exotics and then work around it, right? For this example, I have the capacitor and the Vial Mask. The capacitor is a assault rifle that as you're shooting it, you get more skill damage. And for every skill tier, you get more weapon damage. So this is all about using this weapon with anything skill oriented. With that, we have the Vial Mask, Toxic Delivery, and this one, every time you apply a status effect, you get a damage over time debuff. Now that one says it right there in the first two words, status effects. It's not based off of skill damage at all, just status effects. So once we go off of these two items, we know we're making a skill build. Going back to the vial, I can teach you a nice little cheat code here. The Vial Mask Toxic Delivery talent, the bottom part says the total damage is dealt to equal half of your concussion grenade. And then it is increased by the amount of status effects you have. So based off of this talent, you need two things. You need an increase to your concussion damage, and you need an increase to your status effects. Well, it says concussion grenade damage because it doesn't want to outright just tell you that it's based off of your explosives damage. But that's exactly what it is. Because your concussion grenade is a grenade that deals high damage to those that are caught in the blast. It's a legit explosion. To increase the damage of your concussion grenade, you just need to increase your explosives damage. So, to increase your explosives damage, you can use China Light, for example. The one-piece brand set bonus for China Light gives you explosives damage right then and there. But wait, there's more, because you can also increase your explosives damage by using different specializations. The Demolitionist specialization gives you explosives damage. So you're able to use that in the China Light with the same combo and have explosives damage added together. Now the last two items, you could go for Gruppo and get more explosives damage if you want, but for me, I wanted more status effects. So I went with the three-piece China Light here, because the three-piece China Light also gives me status effects. So I'm able to get explosives damage and status effects through this. Both of those help out my vial. And you can see how these are all related to each other. Now the last two items, I went with status effects. So one-piece Golem Gear for the status effects brand set bonus, and one-piece Electrique for the status effects one-piece bonus. So now we are able to increase our concussion grenade to 1.9 mil, and we're able to increase our status effects even further. What that does is it gives me the Vial Mask a damage over time debuff to hit even harder. So let me show you a little trick with this. The Vial Mask goes off of status effects. So any status effect you deal, it will proc that damage. So it doesn't matter where you are in the game. You could just run just a jammer. And check this out. I'm not even going to shoot. Look at all of those damage numbers. And that is all because I used a jammer pulse. That's it. That was the jammer pulse with my Vial Mask. Nothing more. That's me just jamming them. Look, I just took out all of those enemies at once. And that's not shooting my weapon or doing anything. That's just this exotic dealing that damage over time debuff. And you can get it so powerful just by speccing into explosives damage and status effects. Pretty cool. Now, as far as the talents, right? Well, I just showed you how the Vial Mask talent works. So let's talk about the other two talents here. On the backpack, I'm using Creeping Death. Now this one is all about status effects as well. Because Creeping Death, when you apply a status effect, it is also applied to all enemies within 8 meters. So not only are we able to do status effects with high damage, we're also proccing damage from our Vile Mask, and with Creeping Death, we can spread that status to other enemies, and that will also create another damage over time debuff from the Vile Mask. And this is how the build is just completely synergized together. So we have a status effects, damage over time debuff. We have a backpack talent that spreads the status effects. And we have glass cannon. Now I know I used glass cannon earlier for that damage build, but hear me out. Glass cannon amplifies all the damage you deal. It's not just weapon damage, it's all the damage you deal. So in this case, glass cannon is amplifying my status effects and everything else I am doing. And that is how you do a status effect skill build. Now the other skill build would be a turret drone skill build. And the turret drone skill build, let's see here. All right, I'm going to make one for you right here, right now. All right? Because remember, all of these items is status effects, right? Even though I'm using China Light, I'm using 3 of them, and that gives me status. So we have status on those 3, and we have status on the bottom 2. You do not need status effects for a skill build. So you don't even need the Vile Mask. So let's take that off. When it comes to a skill build and skill damage, you want the waveform holster. Like I said earlier, you want to start with your exotics. That way you know what type of build you are putting together, and then you're good to go. Now, the reason why we're using the waveform is because the waveform gives you skill damage, skill haste, and alternating current. This one gives you 30% skill damage for each of your skills, but it alternates. You'll get 30% weapon damage on one skill, and then you'll get 30% weapon or skill damage on another skill. On top of that, it says nothing about status effects, so we're not even going to touch status effects. So, then we go to chess piece, because we already have our exotics, so we need our other 5 items. Going to a chess piece, we would then look for a yellow core. Here we go, wyvern, good. Then go to our mask, we are looking for a yellow core. We have Empress, that's good. Going to the backpack, we're looking for a yellow core. There we go. Going down to the gloves again. Let's see here. Do we have Honey or Empress? There we go. And then we could do Empress again or Honey. Let's just do Honey just so I can keep the synergy. Let's see, there we go, Honey. Perfect. Okay. So now we're making a turret drone build live here on the spot. Okay. So we're going Empress, Wyvern, Honey, Empress, and Honey. All right. Now, this is not typically a setup that I would showcase. I have made several turret drone builds. Just go to my latest. But this is a good one for example here. Okay. Actually, let's see. Can I change the... I can. Okay. Let's see if we have a force multiplier, though. That would be even better. And we do not. Ruh-roh, Raggy. What? Let's see. Do we have a Hana-Yu chess piece? I'm looking for a yellow cores. There we go. Hana-Yu. And then do a wyvern bag. There we go. Perfect. All right. And this is what happens when you make a build live. So it might take you an extra second or two, but hey, now we're good to go. All right. Perfect. So for a turret drone build or a skill damage build, you would want to go for different bonuses that give you skill damage. You would want skill haste. That way you get your skills back quicker. And you would want different talents to give you more skill damage. So it's exactly what we just did. We have the capacitor again, because as you shoot your weapon, you get more skill damage, and with the skill tiers, you get more weapon damage. Pretty clear. But then we have the waveform. This one with that alternating current, giving you skill damage to both of your skills. For this, we would not use status effects or a pulse, because neither one of those are going to help with skill damage. So you would go with a drone and turret. Look at that. The assault turret deals bullet damage with skills, and your striker drone deals bullet damage with your skills. So both of these are directly impacted by our skill damage. So let's look at the items I chose. So we have 2 pieces of Empress International. And what this does is it gives us skill health and skill damage. So that helps out our turret drone and makes them beefier. Pretty cool. Not only that, but for the attributes, we have skill haste, getting our skills back quicker, and more skill damage. We have One Piece Wyvern. This gives us skill damage from the brand set bonus. Now on top of that, with this being a backpack, we have the tech support talent. And this one, after every skill kill, it increases your skill damage. So that directly helps our build. Going down to the Hana Yu, we're running 2 pieces of Hana Yu because the 2-piece bonus gives us skill damage. So we're skill damage, skill damage, skill damage with an exotic that gives us skill damage. You see what I mean? Now with the chest piece, we have Glass Cannon. This again amplifies all the damage you deal. That includes skill damage. So skill damage, weapon damage, status effects, grenades, the works. Everything is included in Glass Cannon. So with this, we have a amplified we have amplified skill damage with our chest piece. It increases with our backpack, and it increases with our holster, all at the same time. Pretty cool. And that is how you put together a turret drone build. So we just put together a turret drone build. We had a full tank build, right, with the Catharsis, and we had a full DPS build with the Coyotes. Pretty cool. Now, these are all ways of making builds, but how would you farm for these builds? How would you farm for this gear? How would you get any of this? I kind of already told you, but let me just show you now. Because I just showed you how to make the build, how would you then farm for it? You would go to Countdown. Remember, you have targeted loot. You could farm ARs for the capacitor, farm for the mask right here using the mask, and then you would pick whatever gear set. So we had Wyvern, we had Empress. Going down here for the gear sets, we had... actually, we didn't have any gear sets, did we? No. We had Electrique. We had a little bit of Brazos. I mean, this is just a perfect way of farming. Not only that, but remember, for Summit, it's the better quality. So you could do Summit. Or, if you want to farm for it faster, you would do Countdown. That way you could farm for it quick, fast, in a hurry, and then worry about maxing it out once you get it. Okay? Now that's farming for gear. That's how you farm for your builds. Now, let's talk about leveling up. Leveling up and how to get to Shade Level 1000. Because Shade Level 1000 is very important for your character, okay? When you go to your character, right underneath your name is your Shade Level. Your Shade Level is directly related to your watch. When you pull up your watch, it shows you your Shade Level. It shows you all your different bonuses. Now, the difference between Shade Level 2000 and me is nothing. So if you are Shade Level 2000, you have the exact same setup I do. There's no difference at all. Now, why am I saying 2000, not 1000? Well, to max out all of these boxes, you have to be Shade Level 1000. To max out your health, you have to be at Shade Level 2000. So you can actually see it right there. Underneath my Shade Level, it says 17,749, but right underneath it, it says 60,000 health bonus. That 60,000 health is from being Shade Level 2000. So again, If you are shade level 2000, you're good. Just worry about getting your build and you're good. Truly. You don't have to worry about getting a higher level at all. It does nothing after 2000. All right? However, if you do want to farm your shade levels and you want to go up to like 10,000, 100,000, whatever, there are different ways of farming in this game. All right? I'm going to give you a open world way that everyone can do. I'll give you a paywall way. That way you can pay for it and get more XP. Or I'll show you a randomized way. Okay? So here we go. The first way for everybody to get more XP in the game is to, for one, change your global difficulty setting to heroic. That will give you the most XP for everything. If you're doing it challenging, hard, or normal, you're going to do the same thing at a lower expertise or a lower XP rate. Okay? Now, what does that mean? Well, if you look at all of these different activities that are red, it tells you under rewards you get different amounts of XP. So for the control point, we're at 360. For the territory control, 130. Propaganda broadcast, I believe that, 217. We have public execution at 230. Okay. The best way, open world farm for anyone in the game, no matter what your level, is going to be public executions. No matter what. This is the number one way to farm. The reason is that public executions is like, I think it's around 8 enemies total. Something like that. Where you're walking up on some enemies, you take them out, and then it's one spawn and you're done. That's it. So if you've ever noticed a public execution, you walk up to the enemies, they're about to take out the civilians, you save them, they call for backup, you save them again, and it's over. You can literally do a public execution within seconds. It's really that simple. You take them out, they spawn, you take them out, that's it. You talk to the hostage, bada bing, bada boom. And it gives you the most XP. So you can see right here, it gives you 230, where a propaganda broadcast gives you 217. However, a propaganda broadcast is 4 waves of enemies. That's double what a public execution is. And it gives you less XP. For territory control, same thing. This one gives you less XP and it has more enemies. So a public execution not only has the least amount of enemies, but it also has the most amount of XP. It's a no-brainer. So do public executions. And you can do public executions anywhere. So for example here, let's see. I have 1, 2. I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 8, 9, 10. And this is just my map, just right now. 11, 12, 13, 14. I have 14 public executions. 14. And by the time you're done with that, log out, log back in, it'll refresh your map and you can do it all over again. It is repetitive, but if you do that across your entire map and do like a big circle and just take out all the public executions, you'll get XP quicker than anything else in the game. Now, that's only true if you're not paying for it. So the next thing would be this classified assignment right here, National Bond Armory. I've been talking about this mission for years and years and years, and if you've been watching my build videos, you'll notice I run this one quite a bit. The reason for it is this is the quickest classified assignment in the game, and you can do it on heroic with all directives. And it's really good for XP. You can see right here, it's 1,000,006 XP just for one classified assignment. And I can do this one in 3 minutes. So that's over 300k XP per minute. You get a level every 700k XP. So that means you're guaranteed over a level every time you do a classified assignment. So the quickest classified assignment is National Bond Armory. Now the trick is, well, not trick. The caveat is that it's a paywall. You have to buy your classified assignments. There's 2 ways of getting your classified assignments. One, you go down to the store and you go over to add-ons. Under add-ons, you'd be looking for the Season 1 pass. So let's see. Right there. The Year 1 bundle, my bad. So the Year 1 bundle. This one gives you all the 8 classified assignments with a new outfit, a new emote. It gives you specializations, and it gives you an increase to your stash. But we only care about the classified assignments. And that's exactly what it's going to give you right there. But if you do not want to buy that pass or bundle, you could toggle over to assignments. And right here, the Fall of DC would be the one you would want to pick up. That way you could then do National Bond Armory. Now, yes, we do have a brand new classified assignment that just came out this season, but it's really long, where we're trying to just get through it as quickly as possible for that XP. And that's exactly what that classified assignment will do. So, public executions, classified assignment. Yo, I found the snitch again.
Agent, I've got some new contracts.
Yo, let's go,
Target near
dude.
you.
And then I can save this bounty for later. Look at that. Hey, look at that. Pretty cool, man. All right, so I taught you how to farm for gear. I just taught you how to farm for XP. Now let's talk about farming for expertise. So if you go back to your tinkering station, right? Let's see here. Go to your inventory, go back to tinkering and expertise. Like I was saying earlier, your expertise is based off of how many items you are proficient in. To become an expert, you need to be proficient in more than one thing. So this is the same, excuse. It's making you grind as many items as you can to become fully proficient. That way you can make your way to expertise level 30. That expertise level 30 gives you the opportunity to upgrade all of your items to expertise level 30, and then you can either keep the item there or then upgrade it even further to prototype. Now, grinding expertise or farming expertise, it's not really farming expertise, it's more like you're farming proficiency. You need proficiencies for each of these items. It's all about being fully proficient. Okay? For example, if I wanted to become fully proficient in a Hollow Man mask, I have a few different options. I either have to put the mask on, get kill XP, and then that would then give me some proficiency levels. I could then donate duplicates of the Hollow Man mask. That way I could level it up that way. Or I would be able to donate materials to that mask, and then it would level it up that way through the proficiencies. The more items, the more expertise levels, and then the more upgrades you can do. It's a whole grind. But the best way to farm expertise is through your materials. Remember the 3 different ways: farming XP, donating duplicates, or donating materials. Out of those 3 options, donating materials is your number 1 best bet. So let me show you an easy way to do that. Through all of your vendors, they all sell mods. Mods, when you break them down, give you printer filament. So if we come over here to our base of ops vendor and we scroll down,
Good to see you.
we have mods. We have a high-end offensive mod. We have a drone mod, turret mod, sticky bomb mod. And we can pick up these mods, right?
I'm happy to.
And then after you pick up that mod, you go to it and you can deconstruct it. And it gives you printer filament. Printer filament is the number 1 thing to make your item fully proficient. Now, because all of my items are already fully proficient, I can't show you me donating materials to become fully proficient in something, because if I pull it up right now, you see I can't donate anything to it because they're all fully proficient. But if you have an item that you can make proficient, it will then give you a list of materials that you can donate to make it fully proficient. It ranges from your receiver components, your protective fabric, down to your steel, titanium, electronics, carbon fiber, and then finally your printer filament. Your printer filament is your cheapest material in the game, so it's going to be out of these 9, but your printer filament's the cheapest out of all of them. And it gives you the most proficiency upgrades out of all of them. So if you farm printer filament, it gives you the most upgrades for the cheapest cost. And that's why I will forever tell people that if you're ever bored and you're trying to just expertise, like level up your shit, just buy mods, break them down to printer filament, and then donate them to whatever it is you need proficient, and you could become fully proficient in everything within days. It really doesn't take that long. It's just a grind. This entire game is a grind. But that's farming for pretty much everything. Because at that point, you would then have, let's see here. Can I not? Why is it not switching my... What is going on here? Why is it not switching my build? It's not even letting me log out. Oh, I think I'm deltaing. Uh-oh. Am I deltaing right now? Let's see. See if it lets me fast travel. That's so weird. So it lets me fast travel? But it won't let me switch my build? Alright, editing magic. Alright, well, that didn't take long. I deltaed and now I'm back into the game. Just in time for our last part. So, after everything I have shown you how to make a build, put a build together, recalibrate it, optimize it, expertise upgrade it, and now it's time to talk about the escalations and prototype, because these were just added to the game and we need to talk about it. So, expertise used to be the best thing for all of your builds. Was it worth it? Not really, not for all of your builds. It was worth it for weapons and skills, but not really anything else. However, escalations and prototype have changed the game completely. So if you go to your base of ops, right next to your countdown vendor, you will have your escalations. This was just added, and it is a permanent change to the game. Escalations is a set of different missions in a stronghold that change every week, and you can make them harder by escalating them. That's it. It's the same missions, but these are hand-picked to then give you prototype items. So, you farm these missions on an escalation tier, and it will then give you a chance at a prototype item. If you go to Matchmake, you'll see that you can go all the way up to tier 10, but this is only if you have enough tokens. So you have to start all the way at tier 0, work your way up, and keep your tokens. If you lose your tokens, you go back to 0, which I just did, and I was kind of upset about. But after a few runs, you can make your way right back, okay? But with that being said, going up these tiers, you get different chances for prototype items. You can get prototype weapons, named items, everything except for exotics. You can get everything else prototype in the game except for exotics. So when it comes to a build like this, a lot of people might be scratching their head and they're like, what is with all these different colors and everything? These are the different prototype items that you can get. There are 2 different ways of getting prototype items. You can either upgrade the items that you have already, or you have to farm for it. If you have to farm for it, you can only farm for it through the escalations, You can only farm for it through these missions every week, and you can only get a chance depending on what tier you are on. Okay? All of these things come into play. Also, Prototype gear has a targeted loot. So if you pull up your escalations, each of these missions have a different targeted loot. Right now, at the Art Museum, we have Heartbreaker. So you can get Heartbreaker prototype gear right now at the Art Museum. Pretty damn cool. Tip of the Spear at Manning National Zoo, Cheska at Camp White Oak, Gloves at the Pentagon, and True Patriot at DARPA. Now, why? Why do you want prototype gear? Well, prototype gear gives you higher attributes than anything else in the game, and it will give you a augment. So it will give you higher attributes than anything in the game and give you an augment. Now, when it comes to farming or upgrading your prototype items, here are the advantages and disadvantages. If you upgrade your item from, say, a normal expertise level 30 item to prototype, it will then only increase one of the attributes. So you can see right here, my Y'all holster, it did not touch my armor or my armor regeneration, but it increased my crit chance. That's it. If we were to farm, all of those attributes would be higher no matter what. They would not drop at a bare min. They would all be higher no matter what. So, when it comes to prototype gear, yes, it's better to farm for it, but it's going to be harder to get maxed out attributes. Where if you upgrade your own item to prototype, you at least get one of them to max, but the other two are still just as low as the items you had before. So it is smarter to farm the escalation missions than it is to upgrade your items. But if you upgrade your items, you're upgrading exactly what you want, where if you're farming, you're letting the division gods bless you with RNG if they're feeling like it. So that's well, let's talk about augments. So, augments. For each of your items, you get a different augment. This is a different speciality for each item that you get to level up. And for example here, on my Vector, I have an augment called Quantum that gives me damage immunity chance. So while I am shooting this weapon, it provides a chance of me being immune to whatever damage is incoming. Pretty cool. On my Slayer, I have an augment that gives me skill damage healing. So I receive healing for the skill damage that I deal. And on my Handbasket, I have a augment that provides a chance of refilling my magazine for every 2 bullets I fire. So refilling my magazine, skill healing, and damage immunity. Now it gets even better, because then if you go to your gear items, you have even a bigger selection of augments you can choose from. So you have status effects chance, where every bullet has a chance of dealing a status effect. Pretty cool. And that's a random status effect. You could randomly burn an enemy, shock an enemy, bleed an enemy, confuse an enemy. It's really cool. The next one is grenade efficiency. So this would increase the radius and damage of your grenade. That would be really good for that vial mask. Remember that the increase concussion grenade damage would then increase your vial damage over time debuff for that skill build. So having augments like this on that status effect skill build would increase the damage over time debuff even further. That would be wicked. And on this striker chest piece, we have Echo. And this one gives me a chance of dealing double the damage every bullet. So every bullet has a chance of doubling the damage. Now, the bad part about prototype gear and these augments is it's random. So if you do not like these augments, you have to re-roll them. And it is very expensive. Very, very expensive. For example here, to re-roll my augment on my chest piece, it would cost me 2 prototype cores. So that means I have to get 2 prototype items to drop and then deconstruct both of them just to reroll this one augment. It's very, very costly. But like I just showed you, those augments are really going to help out your build quite a bit and, you know, put it to that next level. But when it comes to farming, you would want to actually do the escalations. That way you get better items than you would to just upgrade the items you have. All right. And then whenever you get a prototype item to drop, you don't have to then expertise upgrade them or anything. You don't even need to be expertise 30 to have prototype gear. It already comes expertise 30. Remember, prototype gear is the next level up. So if you are not expertise 30, you could still farm for prototype gear and get all expertise level 30 gear just like that. It's truly that simple. It's kind of their own way around expertise, and it's giving you a new thing to farm in the game. So we have high-end items, we have gear set items, we have brand set items, we have different types of builds. Then you have to recalibrate them, optimize them, expertise upgrade them, and prototype upgrade them. Or you can just farm for prototype gear. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. But I think we just did everything that's in the game. Even the vendors, the bundles, everything. Now, I don't want to really talk about the modifiers because the modifiers change every season. And we'll have some seasons where we don't even get modifiers. So modifiers are its own thing. Every season I'll make a video on modifiers, so just look for that. And the most recent one would be for this season. Okay? But I think I have finally done my entire player's guide for everybody. It took me a while to make this video. I'm not going to lie. I don't have, you know, hours and hours and hours to just sit down and knock this out. I had to do, you know, a few minutes here, a few minutes there, and compile it. So I really hope you enjoyed. I'll add timestamps and everything after it premieres. But just remember that as it's premiering and everything, I can't add timestamps. I'll have all the categories down below on what I talk about, and then I'll add the timestamps later, okay? But besides that, I'm Kamikazevondoom. If you made it this far, please say the journey was worth it. Let me know where you're from. I do appreciate you. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe for more Division content. But again, I'm Kamikazevondoom. Take care of yourself. Enjoy the rest of your day. And hey, peace out.